Today live from Norman, Oklahoma, it's the UCLA Bruins against the defending national champions, the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma football, a tradition that began in the late 40s with the legendary Bud Wilkinson. And a tradition that continues 4 decades later. The Orange Bowl New Year's Day, Jamelle Holieway hooked up with Keith Jackson as the Sooners smashed Penn State to claim the national championship. For Barry Switzer, his 3rd national title. Today, the Sooners take on Terry Donahue and his powerful UCLA Bruins. Rose Bowl winners over Iowa behind Eric Ball's 4 touchdowns. Oklahoma and UCLA for the first time ever. An unusually cool day in Norman, Oklahoma. 76 degrees under cloudy skies. UCLA and Oklahoma. The place is rocking, and here comes UCLA. The Bruins coming off a 9-2-1 campaign. They've won 3 of the last 4 Rose Bowls, 4 straight New Year's Day Bowl victories. Terry Donahue in his 11th year has molded quite a powerhouse, and here come the Sooners. Crimson and cream. They won it all in '85 behind the best defense in all of college football. They've got 8 defensive starters returning, 10 on offense, 18 altogether. They are loose. They are confident. They are hungry for more. And providing analysis of all the action today is Lynn Swan. You pumped up, Lynn?
I'm excited, Troy.
What about the coaches? Barry Switzer for Oklahoma, the winningest coach percentage-wise in college football today. Terry Donahue, the winningest coach in UCLA history.
Winning successfully in different ways. Barry Switzer is kind of the guy who likes to recruit for a national championship, and he recruits guys to win it steamroller style. Big, strong, and if there's a little bump in the way, they just go over the top until they smooth it out. Terry Donahue believes that his success is not necessarily a national championship, but the main road is to a Pac-10 title. He has finesse football, passing, trying to keep the team off balance. But I tell you, this afternoon, his team is poised at the on-ramp to a national championship if they win this afternoon.
You talk about contrasting styles. How about the quarterbacks for these teams? Matt Stevens for UCLA and Jamelle Holieway for OU.
He's like a truck driver with that big offense in front of him. All he has to do is read that defense, make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, and take off and get the ball pitched out the outside. He's a good runner, also a good passer when he has to be, but he's small. Now, on the other side, Matt Stevens, a 5th-year senior. UCLA doesn't plan it that way, but he comes in after a great Rose Bowl with a lot of confidence. He, too, has to execute flawless football in order to win, to keep that defense off balance. But the key on the Oklahoma defense is, of course, Brian Bosworth.
Boy, I'll tell you, most of the attention, the focus has been on Oklahoma and their All-American linebacker, one of the most unusual yet talented players in all of college football. Mike Adderley's on the sideline to tell us a bit about the Boz.
Well, Corey, it's not just Boz. It seems like all the Sooners enjoy the notoriety that goes with being a defending national champion. But it's no question that Boz is the biggest boomer Sooner of them all in terms of publicity. Well, he's become sort of a cult figure here in Oklahoma. His Arnold Schwarzenegger commando haircut has become all the rage. His mentality may be somewhere over the rainbow, and he may lead the country in pierced earrings. But there's no denying that he's one heck of a football player, and it'll be up to UCLA this afternoon to come up with some way to neutralize his presence on the football field. Corey?
All right. Brian Bosworth and the Sooners of Oklahoma, defending national champions, take on the UCLA Bruins. Kickoff coming up. Don't go away. Thank you very much, Jim Lampley. Along with Lynn Swan, Corey McFerrin, 75,000 on hand here at Owen Field as Oklahoma has won the kickoff, and they will receive. Lynn Swan, one thing I think we should mention before we go any farther is one major rule change in college football. The kickoff no longer from the 40s, from the 35-yard line.
That's right. They decided that in the establishing this new placement of the ball that the kickoff had been more or less a non-play. Only about 10% of the plays were ever returned or brought out of the end zone, as we see Terry Donahue already arguing some case here on the football field. I don't know what it is. Maybe Mike Adderley will find out for us. But the ball will be placed on the 35-yard line for the kickoff, which means we should have more returns.
The kickoff has not yet taken place, yet Terry Donahue is arguing about something. Perhaps he does not like the way the actual coin toss took place.
The Oklahoma football team came out to receive. Now they're back on their sideline.
So we're going to start it all over again, apparently. The Oklahoma Sooners, as you know, the national champions. They won it last year for the 6th time. They like to make it 7, the only team in the history of college football ever to do that. Notre Dame. Referees for today's game: Bill Richardson, the referee. Umpire Frank Gaines, Darren Pointer, Ken Houck, Harvey Jones, Phil Laurie, and David Ames. Lynn Swan, you've been here before with these kids. Opening game of the year. What kind of things are going through your mind, especially when you consider the kind of offense that Oklahoma runs and the kind of defense that UCLA must put out there in the field to stop them?
I think for most of the players, what's going through their mind is really their own work, what they have to do individually to execute, to perform well, not to make the mistakes. Most of them can't really figure out just what they're going to see. The coaches have prepared them for a variety of things, so they have a question mark as to just what the defense will do that they're going to see, just what the offense will attempt to do, and as the game progresses, those questions fade away, then they get down into the game and execute. So one of the keys of this ball game is which one of these teams will settle down first and play mid-season football early.
As Homer Smith told us, he wants his club to play December football in September. Now, apparently there's been some confusion on the coin toss. You saw a moment ago Spencer Tillman talking there with Barry Switzer on the sideline. Mike Adderley trying to get us a report on the sidelines as we speak. But apparently Oklahoma will not receive. They will kick off. That's Spencer Tillman, number 2044. Is Brian Bosworth, the young man who has garnered so much attention this year for his wild activities both on and off the field. So now UCLA's kickoff team is on the 40, and Oklahoma isn't out there.
Their coaches have
Let's get it going. Come on.
And explaining the rule. I don't know who's kicking off the who at this stage, Corey. Oklahoma's kicking off to UCLA.
All right, I'm glad we got that straight. The crowd's a little bit confused, as we are, obviously. Todd Thompson will kick off for Oklahoma. Barry Switzer, he's not happy now, obviously.
Now he's on the field talking to the official.
That's right. So we got controversy off the bat here. Donahue complained first. He got his way. Now Switzer's not obviously not happy with the decision, but Oklahoma will kick off. Todd Thompson back to receive, back deep to receive for UCLA. Darrell Henley and Carnell Lake. So after a slight pause, some confusion, college football will be underway in Norman, Oklahoma. UCLA, the defending national champion Sooners, as that crowd fills with excitement. The helmets in the air. Here we go. Deep kick despite the 35-yard line. It's in the end zone, and UCLA will bring it out to the 20. Carnell Lake receiving in the end zone. UCLA starting offense, they got a good one. Durrell is your flanker. Pickard, who is playing in place of the injured Derek Tennell, Warnick, Alexander, Goebel, and Swaneveld. And Kidder is your front line. Anderson is split in. Green, Stevens, and Farr your backfield. The key man, Gaston Green. You talk about speed. This guy's got world-class speed. Eric Ball, number 21, will see action today. Gaston Green, Eric Ball, with Mel Farr at the fullback position. A very talented group. And Lynn Swan, you've had a chance to see these guys up close for a couple of years. And I'll tell you what, the tailback, as Barry Switzer says, with Green and a healthy Eric Ball, they have the best 1-2 tailback combination in all of college football.
Well, I think when you look back at last season, health is the critical question for all the tailbacks. Gaston Green starts out on top. He gets injured. Then comes Eric Ball, who plays extremely well. He gets a little hurt. Gaston Green comes back in.
So Barry Switzer again had a few comments for the officials, but now we're about to put the ball in play. First play from scrimmage from UCLA's 20-yard line. In the eye. Play action pass. Stevens going up. He's got a man. Complete to Mel Farr, the fullback, out of the backfield. The Oklahoma defense, as we say last year, the best in football. Finch, Brown, I should say Finch, with Reed, Williams, Bryant, and Johnson, your front line. The right quarterback, McMitchell, Dixon, Brown, Jones in there. And here's your key man, Brian Bosworth. Outstanding All-American. We'll see a lot of him today, number 44. It's 2nd and 3 for UCLA. Second man through, and he's taken down. Gaston Green, good defensive play out there at the 24-yard line. Steve Bryan, the senior, 6'3", 260-pounder out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, comes up with a big play. Gaston Green taken down 3 yards behind the line.
That's almost an inadvertent tackle. He's taking on people up in front. He just falls down, reaches out. His body is long enough just to trip up Gaston Green. And that's also kind of a first-game tackle or fall down. Gaston Green would run through most of those later on in the ball game.
All right, 3rd and 6. Stevens will put it up in the air. He's got time, and he's got his man across the 35-yard line for the first down. That is Joe Pickert, who makes his first catch in college football. Joe Pickert, one of the things we wondered about, Lynn, was the loss of Derek Cannell, a 2-year starter, how much they would go to the tight end, because Pickert and his backup, Arbuckle, have never seen action before.
There's Joe Pickett from Kansas. He's not played tight end at all. 1 second, 1 down for UCLA. And we'll tell you a little bit more about Derek Cannell and also the freshman Arbuckle, who might be their best tight end.
That was Pickert in motion. 1st and 10, UCLA. 36-yard line. Gaston Green, left side, snakes his way through up to the 44-yard line. Gaston Green led UCLA last year in rushing. Quite an athlete. What a run! 712 yards, as you can see, last year. He was the young man who was injured early in the 2nd quarter in the Rose Bowl. He gave way to Eric Ball, who then went on to his record-breaking performance in the Rose Bowl. 4 touchdowns, 227 yards rushing. Paco Craig in the ball game now for UCLA. 2nd and 2. This is Green trying to turn the corner, doesn't do it.
Brian Bosworth coming in from his inside linebacker position.
That's the man we're telling you about.
That was a classic defensive play. The defensive front line for Oklahoma took on the offensive line, cleared the way. Now watch Brian. He just goes in between the tight end here, right through, because the offensive line was so occupied blocking the defensive line. He's got a clear shot there at Gaston Green, and 44 meets 44 for the first time.
All right, it's 3rd and 5. Paco Craig. Split top of your screen. Durrell is down at the bottom, and this is Stevens rolling to his left. He looks for Durrell, incomplete. Carl could have had it, but I believe there is a flag. No flag?
Yes, there is a flag.
There's a flag
now.
back in the backfield.
It's in the area of the backfield. Looks like it might be holding against UCLA.
And that is the call.
Corey, we mentioned while they're discussing the penalty, Derek Cannell, the fact that he was declared academically ineligible.
Holding, offense, decline, 4th down.
For UCLA. 4th down, they're going to punt the football. He was in summer school, didn't get the grade he needed for a class, so he's out. That could be the most key change in this offense for UCLA. With no experience at tight end, they're going to be hard-pressed to have the experience there and the patience to make the big plays on 3rd down.
That's true. Marcus Greenwood, an outstanding fullback, did not make the trip either with an ankle injury. UCLA punting the ball. Harold Parkate let it drop at about the 25-yard line, where UCLA bounces into it. It'll be Oklahoma's football. They'll be on offense for the first time from their own 27-yard line. And listen to this crowd. Here's the Oklahoma offense. The All-American Keith Jackson with John Phillips, Hudson, Simpson, Anthony Phillips, Johnson, Shepard to split in, Tillman, Holloway, Carr, and Collins in the backfield. The magic of Keith Jackson. That's what Barry Switzer talks about. This guy is phenomenal. Perhaps the best offensive player on the entire Oklahoma team. Holloway is your quarterback. He's got some magic as well. To give to the first man through, Lydell Carr, the big fullback, pushes across the 30-yard line for UCLA, which led the nation last year in rushing defense. Take a look at their alignment. You got Lake, Johnson, and Norton, linebackers, along with Batchkoff, Toomey, Whaler, and Smith, the front line. Turner, Washington, Rutledge, and Henley make up the secondary. And Terry Toomey, who is a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma, key man, the nose guard, who must battle the big Oklahoma offensive line. There, the give right side. Few yards for Spencer Tillman across the 35. Spencer, a senior from Tulsa.
You see Oklahoma, the first play they ran straight up the middle, second play they come to the outside. Against UCLA, who had a great deal of time to prepare for the wishbone, they're going to keep their offensive attack simple. They're going to pound at them, try and soften them up on the inside, then go to the outside.
Tillman and Collins are your halfbacks. Carr, your fullback. This is Spencer Tillman trying to work for the first down. I believe he's got it.
I believe so.
So UCLA had a first down in their first drive. Oklahoma has the football. They have theirs. You know, Lynn, I think that's something we should talk about, too. All the time that UCLA has had to prepare for this wishbone. We talked yesterday to the defensive coaches for UCLA and said, hey, if we had a week to prepare for these guys, forget it. There's no way we could do it.
Absolutely. This is the only wishbone team that UCLA will face. And we may see some different changes, some alignments that are not normal in their defense.
First and 10, 39-yard line, right side. That was Spencer Tillman again. Good for a couple yards. Jim Waller, the big right tackle for UCLA, brings him down.
But Corey, the coaches for Oklahoma also believe that UCLA is a good, solid, fundamental football team. And they believe that good football teams will not change that drastically. There's a look at Spencer Tillman, the senior halfback. He's got a knee injury.
1983, he busted the all-time record for rushing of an Oklahoma freshman held by Marcus Dupree, and he's hung on through a lot of injuries. And here's Jamelle Holieway, shows some of that speed. First thing got close to the first down, and Jamelle Holieway, we can see the kind of talent this young man has on that run.
The key to that, Corey, was he read the defense and pitched or not pitched off the right man. Now watch the floor of the UCLA defense. They're coming over. They look like he should pitch the ball. There are people there. But no, man comes out to cover the pitch man. He ducks inside. He doesn't pick up a lot of yards, but he does pick up the necessary yards for a first down.
And it is a first down for Oklahoma. They're second on this drive. The ball almost on the 50-yard line.
This is exactly what UCLA does not want, a real controlled drive down the field, keeping their defensive unit on the field.
Lydell Carr banging his way. Good for almost 5 yards, and Lydell Carr doesn't have a great deal of speed, but he is powerful. Let's go to Mike Adamway now and see if we can clear up all that confusion around the kickoff. Mike?
Well, Corey, what happened on the opening kickoff was Oklahoma won the toss, but they deferred to take their decision until the second half. Inadvertently, the official had made the wrong call, and that's why UCLA coach Terry Donahue raised the sting.
All right, understandable. 2nd and 5. Oklahoma, UCLA's 45-yard line. Again, it's Lydell Carr. This guy is a tough one, as are all these backs. Leon Perry, a young man you'll see in there as well. For Oklahoma, bruisers.
The fullback is going to carry the ball most of the time in the wishbone formation. Lydell Carr in 1985 carried the ball 169 times, 735 yards.
It's 3rd and 1 for the Sooners on the 41-yard line of UCLA. Jamelle Holieway leads his troops up as Barry Switzer looks on. Holieway, a confident young man. He says, if I make the best possible read, we're going to make somebody look stupid. Again, it's Lydell Carr, Oklahoma, keeping it very simple right now. Another first down for the Sooners.
Patience once again being demonstrated by the Sooners.
And I think, Lynn, exactly what we expected is taking place. Oklahoma outsizes UCLA. UCLA is speedy, can run with anybody, but can they take it, that constant barrage up the middle?
That's exactly what Oklahoma wants to find out.
First down, Holieway this time on the option, but it's not going to fool too many people. I don't think. He gets by Norton, but he cannot get by number 30, Craig Rutledge. He knocks him down at about the 35-yard line.
Craig Rutledge, number 30. Emotional players for the Bruins. Jamal trying to find somewhere to go on the outside, but the defense of UCLA just strung him out.
Well, it looked like Kenny Norton might have him there at the line of scrimmage, but Holieway somehow squeezed his way by him. Very elusive runner, Jamelle Holieway. Only 5'10", 180, and those figures, I think, are inflated. 2nd and 7. This is Carr again. And he is hit very, very hard by Jim Waller again. Ken Norton in there as well.
Ken Norton, number 41, also there. That's a very quick hitting play by the Oklahoma Sooners. Defense did a good job of stopping it, but you can see the quickness, opening up a quick hole to the backside or the short side of that field. They could have been in that secondary and gone for a big game.
All right, 3rd and 5. Leon Perry now in at fullback for Oklahoma. Option. This is Tillman across the 30, 27-yard line. First down, Oklahoma. Ken Norton comes over to make the stop.
Ken Norton did a great job of getting to the outside. Number 2, Darrell Henley, the other corner, was over there. And he got picked, cut clean. They've been working all spring long really to take on blockers, to not get knocked down so they can make the play. Now watch the lead blocker here. He just takes out the cornerback. The cornerback didn't play him off with his hands, so therefore he was off his feet. He couldn't make the tackle, but Ken Norton came over to seal the play, to shut the play down.
Spencer Tillman, Anthony Stafford in there at halfbacks. The give is to Stafford. Left side, he is upended very quickly there. For UCLA, Chance Johnson, the inside linebacker, comes in to upend Stafford.
Now we mentioned the middle of the defensive line. Number 40 is Terry Toomey. Now watch him on the inside. He gets double teamed here, and right there, he is actually doing his job by taking on 2 blockers. He's a small person. You don't expect him to have to go through 2 people.
2nd and 8. Holieway. He's going to keep it inside the 20. Knocked out about the 16-yard line. Big game for Oklahoma. And the fans are booing. They do not like the way Holieway was knocked into the sideline there.
That was number 3, James Washington. The quickness of the Oklahoma football team getting to the outside, getting the angle here on Washington, beating him to the marker. There's not a lot of room on the sidelines either. You gotta be careful down there.
Now Owen Field, you got about 20 feet and that's it.
Yeah. We talked about size on the defensive and offensive line, Oklahoma's offense versus UCLA. Terry Toomey, who plays nose tackle, is only 228 pounds. The center for Oklahoma is 265 pounds.
First down at the 16-yard line, Leon Perry. About 5 different tacklers are there to bring him down. Gain of about a yard, and I believe there's a flag on the play as well.
Donahue knows his he admitted that his football team is not a big football team. That the physicality of this football game was going to be a problem. You know, he was going to try and finesse the football team, play a strong, technical, tactical football game. But right here, I think they're just being outmanned in the front line. There's a big crown on the center of this football field. That Oklahoma football team is getting a quick start to the outside.
Here's the penalty.
Illegal use of the hands by the offense.
5-yard penalty assessed against Oklahoma. Got about 6.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. There is no score. Oklahoma and UCLA. It'll be 1st and now 12 yards for Jamelle Holieway and the Sooners. He's got Perry at fullback, and that's the man who gets the ball. Perry breaks away inside the 15 to about the 12. He's brought down by Carnell Lake for UCLA, along with Greg Bolin.
Here. Leon Perry, 92 rushes, 518 yards. Strong back. Right there when he broke through, I don't think he expected to break through so cleanly. Wasn't much of a tackle that brought him down. Just hit him, got him off balance a bit.
Just kind of knocked him off his wheels. 2nd and 6.
And I don't think they're going to pass.
Perry, and he is crushed. Frank Batchkoff is there. Good guess, Lynn.
It's kind of hard to figure out if Oklahoma is going to pass it all, right?
Well, Holieway can throw when he has to. Last year he threw, let's see, 24 times for 517 yards, 5 touchdowns. He can do it.
Yeah, 24 out of 58. 5 touchdowns and only 1 interception.
Here we go. That is 3rd and 6. Perry and Stafford are your backs, and here's a pass for you. Holieway fires, incomplete. That ball intended for Keith Jackson, the All-American tight end. At about the 7-yard line, Jackson just could not hang on. Kenny Norton covering for UCLA.
Keith Jackson, a patient tight end, maybe the best athlete on this entire football team. Now, this is a good pass by Jamelle. It doesn't fool anyone, but the pass is accurate. I'm surprised Jackson doesn't make this catch. It's right there. He has to reach out for it. It's right in his hands. That is a catch most of the time for Keith Jackson.
No question about it. Keith Jackson should have had that football. Field goal attempt, Tim Lasher. This will be a 28-yard field goal. It is good. Tim Lasher, who has the all-time Oklahoma mark for 31 field goals in his career, puts Oklahoma on the board. The Sooners lead it here in the first quarter, 3-0. Back with more from Norman after this. All right, thank you, Jim. Timmy Lasher's 29-yard field goal, and Oklahoma has a 3-0 lead. Back to receive on the kickoff for UCLA, Darnell Henley, along with Mike Farr. And if Mike Farr's name rings a bell, yes, he is the brother of Mel Farr. And yes, they are both the sons of Mel Farr.
Senior.
That's right. He played for UCLA. In fact, I think with Phil Donahue, right?
Terry Donahue.
How about Terry Donahue? Back in 1966, the Rose Bowl championship team started with the Lions for many years. Here's the kickoff. Mike Farr will not run it out. Scoring drive for the Sooners. Just over 7 minutes, really grounded out. 55-yard, 16-play drive, capped off by Lasher's field goal.
And this is classic Oklahoma offense. Just the thing that Terry Donahue does not want to see. His defense on that field for 7:22. How tired are they going to be if every drive that Oklahoma has is 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and they score points?
Stevens, a quarterback. Play action. Moves up in the pocket and fires complete to Carl Durrell. Very close to the first down. Durrell, a fine young flanker.
Carl Durrell, 5'11", 191 pounds, a senior from San Diego. Caught 39 passes for 565 yards last year, but only 1 touchdown. I think they like to get that number a little higher from him.
They feel like Durrell may step out from the shadows of Mike Sherrard, of course, the All-American receiver with the Dallas Cowboys now. You saw a lot of movement there and the contact on the left side of the line.
Number 74, Russ Warnick, got set. Now watch him. He'll just get up and move just a bit while the man's in motion. Offensive lineman, once they put that hand down, they cannot move.
There it is.
Legal procedure, offense.
All right, so it's 2nd and 6 for UCLA after the 9-yard pass from Stevens to Durrell. Again, Stevens to pass, looking for Willie Anderson, and a fine catch at the 32-yard line. They call Willie Flipper. He's brought down there by Sonny Brown, and Anderson, I understand, really impressed the UCLA coaches this last spring and in fall practice.
Well, he's an excellent receiver. He's got great speed. Right here you see he runs a good route. He's running away from the defense, almost at an angle back to the ball. He makes that catch. His nickname is Flipper. And right there he just flipped one in the old plus column.
Led the team last year with 4 touchdown receptions. 1st and 10, UCLA. The fullback, Mel Farr. Brian Bosworth booming him down at the 32-yard line. And I wonder, Lynn, if Brian told him that's what Oklahoma football is all about, which he likes to do.
He's getting started on what he hopes is going to be an outstanding career season here in 1986. He reads it, plays it well, and just sticks his head right in there to make the tackle. He'll get credit for a solo on that one.
All-American as a sophomore. He won the first Butt Kiss Award as a top linebacker in the nation last year, the Big 8 Defensive Player of the Year.
That was the first down play that they did not throw also, Corey.
2nd and 9, the draw. This is Mel Farr, but no. Big hit there, and the Oklahoma players are fired up. Look at him.
Richard Reed, number 96. 6'4", 255 pounds. Okay, number 22 in that backfield, Mel Farr. But right there is a picture, number 22, Mel Farr, back in 1966 when he played for the Bruins.
That's great. Mel has a very successful automobile dealership, I understand, back in Detroit. Here is Mel. It's 3rd and 8. Stevens to the air, going long, and it's picked off by Oklahoma. That is Scott Garr, the right quarterback, and Stevens underthrew his man. Oklahoma has the football.
Scott, the recipient. It will almost look like a tip pass. I don't know if it was tipped or not. Just flooded in the air.
So off the Stevens interception by Scott Garr, Oklahoma the football at the 30-yard line. Oklahoma has always been known for outstanding running backs. Down the years, they produced 3 Heisman Trophy winners. Billy Sims in 1978. In 1969, it was Steve Owens, the first Sooner to win the trophy. Go back to 1952. It was Billy Vessels, the slashing halfback from Cleveland, Oklahoma. There's the man who made the reception, reserve quarterback Scott Garr. He's pretty pumped up about it. Now let's take a look at the interception again.
That's the first turnover in this ball game, or it may be the first big mistake. The ball just flutters up there. He turns back, looks for the ball when the receiver doesn't. So you see him slowing down. He goes up in the air, makes a catch, can't keep his balance, falls down, but it's a turnover. They now have the ball at the 30-yard line, and that's going to be a very big mistake if Oklahoma drives down the field and gets points out of it.
From the 30-yard line, Holieway keeping. Will he keep it? Yes, across the 40. Sprints out to the 45, close to the 50-yard line. Jamelle Holieway, a big gainer for the Sooners. Last year, Holieway with 861 yards rushing. He led the team, the 3rd highest by any Oklahoma quarterback in history. You see why he can do that.
Look at the dilemma here. As he's about to pitch, watch number 7, Chance Johnson. He can't make up, excuse me, number 30 there. He can't make up his mind who to go after. He can't leave the back too soon because he'll flip it back. So he lets him turn upfield, then he goes after him.
Lydell Carr across the middle for about 3 yards. Let's go down now to Mike Adamle.
Well, Corey, even though Oklahoma leads 3-0 and appears to be on the move, one man who is not worried is Mel Farr Sr. We talked about his son, the starting fullback. You also have a young freshman who's a promising wide receiver. And Mike, you're not worried about this game, huh, Mel?
No, I'm not worried about it. This is the first time the Bruins have seen the wishbone, and I think they're going to get adjusted to it. They're going to come back out here in the 2nd quarter, and we're going to win this football game. This is a very talented Bruin team that we have, you know.
Proud of your 2 young men?
Oh, I'm very proud of the guys. You know, it's like a dream come true having 2 sons to play football at the same school that you played. I mean, it's just like a dream come true for me.
Good to see you. You were a dream come true as a National Football League player and also with the Bruins. Okay, Corey?
Thank you, Mike and Mel. And as you saw, Anthony Stafford, a good gain for Oklahoma up to the 40-yard line, or just across the 40-yard line.
They're going to measure. It's very close to the 1st down mark.
Jamelle Holieway follows the officials over. He wants to help him out if he can. Looks like they got it, and they do.
Take a look at the play selection here. UCLA, 6 passes, most of them on 1st down, 5 rushes. Oklahoma, the 1 pass, only in a 3rd down situation at the goal line when they had to. The rest all on the ground. They're just executing, playing their fundamental game.
So another 1st down for the Sooners. They're in UCLA territory. 40-yard line. Stafford in motion. That's Lydell Carr, big opening. And he pulls his way down close to the 30-yard line. Tackle there by James Washington, the free safety for UCLA.
Number 2, Darrell Henley also getting on the play. Now take a look at Lydell Carr. Look at the blocking there. Very, very well executed. Everyone's picking up their blocks. Big hole. Doesn't see any traffic until he gets into the secondary where James Washington comes up to make the play.
Lydell Carr. Second and 1 off the 9-yard gain by Carr. Again, it's Carr. Gets by one man. Rutledge trying to bring him down along with James Washington, and they do so. But again, a first down for Oklahoma, and to get a feeling just how tough this offense is to stop.
Very, very difficult. Again, I have to go back to the fact that Oklahoma just outweighs the defensive line of UCLA. The Oklahoma offensive line starts at 275, 280, 265, 280, and then they have a tackle, Greg Johnson, number 75, who was listed at 295, but came in the training camp this summer at about 340.
Holieway, he wants to pass, he's got time, and he overshoots his man again. Trying to hook up with Keith Jackson. Unlike the last time, I don't think this time Keith really had a shot at that ball. Ken Norton was all over him there.
Ken Norton was there, but I think what they were trying to do is just take advantage of UCLA looking for that run, coming up with a pass play when they didn't have to. Not a bad risk. Not much of a risk at all. What they need, though, is to get a touchdown. And the offense marched down the length of the field. They only got a field goal. If they get a touchdown, they're going to feel much more confident.
Second and 10. The pitch. Stafford, and that didn't fool anybody. Barely made it back to the line of scrimmage. Bruins, guys like Price and Lake in there.
Corey, if this defensive unit of UCLA stops them here, even if they kick a field goal, the UCLA unit is going to feel like they have done their job. They're going to feel confident. They say, yes, you drove down the field, you possess the football, but we stopped you from scoring touchdowns. We're still only one touchdown out of this ball game if they get 3 points out of this play.
They're calling it 3rd and 8. Barry Switzer looks on. Holieway rambling, throwing, going to be picked off for UCLA, and that is Darrell Henley, and he may go a long way. 35, 30, 25, finally brought down at the 20-yard line. Jamelle Holieway, a poor pass, and Henley picks it off and runs all the way back to the 20-yard line. We're going to call that a 71-yard return on the interception.
Corey, he had a receiver wide open in the end zone. I think it was Derek Shepard just wide open, and he just didn't get the ball there. He's got him beat there. Number 2 comes up, Darrell Henley, and just takes it away. I thought for sure he was going all the way for a touchdown. Certainly now the defense is feeling very confident, very strong.
Big play. Darrell Henley, the wrong man to throw it to. The guy's an excellent kickoff and punt returner. UCLA in great shape as we begin the second quarter. Sooners leading. We begin the second quarter, and there's the man who has the UCLA Bruins and their followers all pumped up right now. Darrell Henley, a 71-yard return, a young man, a sophomore out of Ontario, California. And suddenly these Sooner fans here, some 75,000, are wondering what's going on. UCLA at the 20-yard line. In the eye, far as your up back. Gaston Green, the tailback, gets a reverse to Willie Anderson. Tries to cut across, gets by Troy Johnson inside the 15-yard line of Oklahoma.
Excellent job. Team number 73, Jim Alexander, getting up limping there. They run the reverse. Look at the flow of the defense for Oklahoma. They got about 6 players going the opposite direction. Now we reverse the field. You see Troy Johnson trying to make the play there. He can't. 73 falls down. I think he may have just hurt his ankle a bit there, Corey. So the reverse is designed to pick up real big yardage, so that's pretty much a win for the defense.
Paco Craig, Carl Durrell. Receivers to the near side. The give, though, to Gaston Green, left side. Gets down to about the 13-yard line where Curtis Williams makes the hit. Curtis Williams, a young man who has a heavy responsibility. He falls into the shoes, filled last by Tony Casillas, the All-American nose guard, and now plays for the Atlanta Falcons.
All-American nose guard, Lombardi Trophy winner. A lot of people think that there's going to be a great deal more pressure on Bosworth not having that talent in front of him. But I think Curtis Williams might be able to do the job.
Right now, though, UCLA with a big 3rd and 3 situation. Stevens to Green.
And Green is pounded before he gets to the 10-yard line. In there, Steve Bryan, some help from Brian Bosworth. And UCLA will not get the first down. They'll be forced to kick. And the kicking game, Lynn, a very, very big part of the question mark surrounding UCLA as we see Brian Bosworth fired up his co-defenders back there as they made the big stop when they had to. Here's David Frady, a young man who has not had a field goal since high school back in 1981. He puts it up, and it is good. So David Frady, his first attempt in college football as he replaces the great All-American John Lee, comes through. We've got ourselves a tie ball game at 3 apiece. David Frady's field goal for UCLA. Tim Lasher's for Oklahoma. Hi, Jim, a special guest on the sidelines with Mike Adamle, one of the greats of all time in Oklahoma football history.
As a matter of fact, Oklahoma's last Heisman Trophy winner, the great Billy Sims, whose fantastic pro career cut short because of a knee injury. Have you adjusted to that, Billy?
Well, pretty much so. You know, you still miss the game and the players, but again, you have to go on with your life. I was very fortunate to have a chance to play professional football. Now I can watch a lot of Oklahoma football again.
Sooners dodged a bullet there.
Hey, for real, but they know it's a tough game. They're playing a good team from the West Coast, so it's not over yet.
And Corey, they still love Billy down here in Norman. How about it, gang?
I guess so. A Heisman Trophy winner back in '78. The receivers for Oklahoma, Patrick Collins and Anthony Stafford. Wes Denton will kick it off momentarily. Got a 3-3 game, 13 minutes to go here in the second quarter at Norman. That big interception that Holieway threw turned into 3 points for UCLA. Here's the kickoff by Denton, a line drive, and it's into the end zone. So far, Lynn, that new 35-yard line hasn't made a bit of difference.
Let's back it up another 5 yards. Put it on the 30-yard line.
Don't forget tonight, right here on ABC, Nebraska and Florida State from Lincoln. Keith Jackson and company will be there. And that should be a great ball game as Nebraska kicks it off. And next Saturday, Michigan, Notre Dame, Lou Holt's debut as the Fighting Irish head coach. Michigan and the Irish next Saturday right here on ABC. That will be a tremendous battle.
Okay, Corey, it's one mistake apiece. Let's settle down, play some football. I think that's what the coaches want to relate to these kids on the football field right now.
Holieway keeps, tosses it out. Tillman, he cuts the corner, but upended at the 30-yard line by Chucky Miller for UCLA. Otherwise, that would have been a tremendous gainer for Oklahoma.
It sure would have been. Now, let's take a look at this shot from the end zone. Number 3, Derek Shepard's a receiver out there. Now, he's got a real tough block. He goes out there, he's got to line up on that cornerback. Then when the back gets the pitch on the outside, he's got to time that block. Here he timed it a little bit too soon. The cornerback slips off the block and makes the tackle.
Good enough yardage, though, for the first down. Leon Perry still on his feet, still driving those legs, tries to bull his way up close to the 40-yard line.
Leon Perry looked like he was off balance, Corey. It looked like he was falling down just as he took the handoff, almost hiding behind a massive offensive lineman out in front of him, and just drifted to the outside.
You know, you mentioned the offensive line. They are calling this offensive line for Oklahoma perhaps the best they've had in Barry Switzer's 20 years of association with Oklahoma football.
And most of them are coming back, or all of them are coming back. 2 juniors, 3 juniors, and a sophomore on that line. The only senior is a center.
That is Patrick Collins up to the 47-yard line, and Jamelle Holieway waited to the absolute last 10th of the second before he got rid of it. Good play. Another first down for the Sooners.
Number 37, Chucky Miller, made the tackle.
Here's some scores. Third quarter, still scoreless. Miami and the Gators. Alabama, big over Vanderbilt. That game is a final. Rutgers, 11-9 over Boston College.
Corey, James Washington, number 3, was just taken off the field. He sustained some kind of injury. He's our starting free safety. A strong safety, rather.
And an excellent one. Up the gut again. That's Leon Perry. A few more scores for you. North Carolina, no problem with the Citadel today. Virginia by 10 over South Carolina. Northwestern, third quarter, they trailed Duke by 4. Auburn rolling in the third. Kent State has defeated Toledo 18-16. Bowling Green a winner today over Ohio. Miami of Ohio big on Ball State in the third quarter. Colorado State a 10-0 lead on Colorado. That's a surprise. Wyoming leads Baylor. And there's a whistle.
Yeah, we got it.
I believe it's a timeout as Jamelle Holieway runs over to talk things over with Barry Switzer. 11 minutes and 9 seconds to go here in Norman. It's all tied at 3. Quarterback for Oklahoma has been pushed tremendously by Eric Mitchell, another sophomore quarterback out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. We talked to Jamelle yesterday and asked him if he feels he's been given a vote of confidence from Coach Switzer.
I think I have a vote of confidence from my team and my coaches. I think what they're trying to do is just push me because sometimes I get lazy a lot. And just to know that Eric is right behind me and making me work even harder, I mean, I think that's Coach Switzer's philosophy for doing all this.
Eric Mitchell, Coach Switzer says, maybe the best fella he's ever seen in terms of the skills he has to run the wishbone, yet he is not the starting quarterback. Jamelle Holieway is, because he did it last year. He came in 5th game of the year and has been very, very successful, to say the least. Give to Leon Perry. He pounds across for a few yards.
Ball squirmed out, but the play had already been blown dead. One of the main reasons, the main reason, I think, for Jamelle being the starting quarterback is because he possesses a great football sense, a good football mind. He comes out of Banning High School in Southern California, which has a strong football program. In Southern California, they've got some very excellent coaches in high school. And he'll come in here, he'll look at film, and the coaches will ask, let's say, Eric, what play was that? And Eric, you know, is not quite sure and won't know. They'll ask Jamelle, and he'll say it just as fast as, you know, you ask the question, as you see there to pick up the first down. And Eric sits around and says, well, how did he know that?
Right.
He knows it. He's been playing good football throughout high school. He comes in with that confidence. He's got a great deal of maturity for a young ball player. Now, the ideal situation is to try and have some of that football sense rub off and teach it to Eric Mitchell, who the coaches feel possesses the greater physical skills, and then hopefully you've got a hybrid quarterback out there.
1st and 10, 41-yard line. Oklahoma on the move again. This is the pitch, and this is Spencer Tillman across the 40, 35-yard line, down to the 32-yard line. It's Spencer Tillman looking awfully good. Here's a young man who's been hampered severely by hamstring problems. The last couple years, he looks to be very healthy and moving well on the field. Here it is again.
Now, this is individual skill here. The defense from UCLA has a man out there. You'll come up right on your screen, but that's a great midseason move. Nice little juke. He didn't take a lot of his speed off by just dipping to the outside and cutting to the inside.
He's been working with a fella here in Norman, a former track coach, and how to stretch out those hamstrings. He says the best thing that's ever happened to him. He feels healthy and very confident about the coming year. 1st and 10. Holieway gives it to Tillman again. He's up close to the 20-yard line. I'll tell you what, if Tillman can recapture the form he had back in 1983 when he gained 1,047 yards and ran for 10 touchdowns, Oklahoma could have that one back that will stand out above the rest.
Corey, he won't need form if he gets holes like that.
That's true. That big offensive line for Oklahoma doing the job. Anthony Stafford in to replace Spencer Tillman. 2nd and 1 after the 9-yard gain by Tillman. 22-yard line of UCLA. The pitch. This is Collins. Kenny Norton is over to make the hit down the 18-yard line. We talked earlier, of course, about Mel and Mike Farr and their famous father. Ken Norton's dad. Guess who?
Ken Norton.
That's right.
Ken Norton Jr., Ken Norton Sr.
Former heavyweight champion of the world, and Ken Norton Jr., perhaps the toughest player, the hardest hitter on this UCLA defense.
How would you like to be Terry Donahue and have Ken Norton Jr.'s father upset because you didn't like the way he was playing his son?
I got to lock my door on that one.
Kenny Norton actually told Terry, he says, listen, you play him any way you want to play him. It's all right with me.
He deserves to play. He's a legitimate All-American candidate. Inside the 20, and Jamelle fumbles the football, but alertly falls on it immediately.
That's Eric Mitchell, number 1 on the sideline, the backup quarterback that we were telling you about earlier. The quarterback for Oklahoma last year was Troy Aikman. And when he was injured, Jamelle came in and took his place. And he looked around and said, well, here are 2 sophomores, Jamelle and Eric, and they're going to play. There's not a whole lot of room for me. So what did he do? He transferred to UCLA. He's on this team. He cannot play this year and will not practice with the team until school starts at the end of this month.
2nd and 10. They give the Liddell Carr across the 10, inside to the 8-yard line. First man through, and Liddell Carr just pounding away, and Barry Switzer loves to see it.
There's nothing different about the way Liddell Mitchell runs the ball play after play after play. He just takes the handoff, he bends over, pushes forward. Liddell Mitchell. Baltimore. Let's get everybody's name in here. Liddell Carr. He just takes that ball, tucks it down, and uses that leg power to drive forward.
All right, it's 3rd and 10. Liddell is in there. And Jamelle takes it himself for the first down. Well, it's very close to the first down. I think it is. Yes, we get the signal. Senses that they may have something to really get excited about here in a moment. 8:10 to go here in the first half. And you know what's interesting, last year I think the crowd probably is used to the kind of success the Sooners had last year offensively. The team averaged 36.1 points and 439+ yards rushing during Holloway's 8-0 streak as a signal caller. And today, obviously, that production is yet to be seen. This time, though, they're going to have it as Holloway trots in the right side to score the first touchdown of the game. Jamelle Holieway, touchdown, Oklahoma. From 6 yards out, Lynn, and he didn't have much of a problem sneaking in, did he?
No, he still had a back trailing him. He could have pitched the ball, too. But as he's been coached, if you can take it in yourself without making the ball pass hands an extra time, go ahead and do it. I think, however, the oranges being tossed on the football field are a bit premature.
I would agree. So Oklahoma scores the first touchdown here. Tim Lasher is on for the extra point. Last year he was perfect in the regular season 43 times. And he starts out 1986 perfect as well. So Oklahoma takes a 10-3 lead. And the crowd here in Norman's got something to get up and cheer about. Here we go again, Lynn.
Take another look. UCLA thinking the play is coming inside. Everybody collapses. The blocking once again excellent to the outside. And Jamelle has the speed to take it in. It's just a textbook play.
I like the way Tillman had his arms up in the air before Holloway even crossed the goal line. The Sooners schooner on the field. Oklahoma leads by 7.
In 1897, the Oklahoma Kingfisher College game was interrupted by the county sheriff, who mistook it for a drunken brawl.
Thank you, Jim. Oklahoma, a 7-point lead here with 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first half. Oklahoma waited a long time to get on the board with the touchdown, and here's the kickoff by Todd Thompson. Taken at about the 2 by Darrell Henley. He's across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Henley, the young man who ran back that interception 71 yards and set up the field goal earlier in the game. Let's now go to the field and Mike Adamley.
Okay, the only way to travel here in Norman, Oklahoma is via Sooner Schooner. This is Roughneck Queen. That's the Pep Club. Roughneck Queen, Janine Sakani and Brad Matson, who is the head of the Roughnecks. It's a nice way to play, huh?
Oh, this is great. This is the only way to travel. Okay. They're doing great.
What do you think of the game so far?
Oh, it's going pretty good so far. I think the Sooners are going to do it all the way. They're doing a little bit slow, but I think they'll catch on and catch a little bit more points.
Okay, let's go back upstairs to Corey and Ben.
All right, Mike. Tough job down on the field as Matt Stevens fails to connect with Carl Durrell.
Ball was low. He just couldn't scoop it up out of the ground. I am surprised, Corey. I think at this stage of the ball game, it's Oklahoma realizes that UCLA is going to pass, whether it's play action or not on first down, that they don't try maybe blitzing a bit, put some more pressure on Matt Stevens. They don't seem to be getting anyone there close to him at the present time.
2nd and 10. The backs are split. They're both going out, but this time it's completed to Paco Craig at about the 37-yard line.
We'll take a look at Paco Craig. He's 5'10", 161 pounds, a junior. He just comes in. They're playing a zone defense. He just drifts inside. Matt fires a real good pass there. You know, that pass is close to being picked off by the linebacker if he has his head turned around and watch the quarterback and if he's throwing the football.
Stevens, who threw for 186 yards in the Rose Bowl, looked very sharp in that game. Here, over the middle, no, it's intercepted. Oklahoma's football at Sonny Brown. And talking about bowl games, Sonny Brown, a defensive player of the game in the Orange Bowl. He's Mr. Interception, led Oklahoma last year in interceptions, and comes up with the big pickoff here for the Sooners at the 45-yard line.
The coaches say Sonny Brown is the most underrated player in that secondary. When Matt throws a pass here down the middle, you've got to be careful. Look at that big hand in front of him. That's the reason why he tries to get the ball high up in the air. He overthrows it, and Sonny Brown is there. Number 93, Curtis Williams, a nose tackle, was a man who got the big arm high, forcing that pass up.
So Oklahoma takes advantage of another Stevens interception. They've got the ball on the 45-yard line. Back with more in a moment. Back at Owen Field, Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners and the Bruins. Oklahoma a lead by 7 points. Corey McFerrin, Lynn Swan, and Mike Adamley along with you today.
Oklahoma.
Interesting, I'll tell you, interesting fact, too, about the second quarter for Oklahoma last year. They outscored their opponents 130-10. So perhaps that touchdown here in the second quarter and this interception to give them the ball on the 45-yard line is an omen of things to come here in the second quarter. Going to pass on the run. First completion to Keith Jackson of the day to the 35-yard line of UCLA. James Washington, Craig Rutledge are there to make the stop.
Okay, Keith, he's shaking off those earlier passes that he didn't quite get a grab onto. Comes up with a little short one there. Now he feels he's got the cobwebs a little off the old hand. The season started. He's caught his first pass. He can settle down now. He is to make a big play.
UCLA's Terry Toomey says Keith's like a big train coming at you, and he says that is scary. This is Lydell Carr, who's also like a big train coming at you. But loose ball. Who's got it? And it's Keith Jackson somehow tracking that football down. That was a wild play. Lydell Carr made a good gain. The ball was stripped, got loose, popped out about 10 yards, and Jackson, a very alert, good athlete.
Now there is the problem when the running back is always trying to get the extra yards. You see Keith Jackson blocking here on the outside at the top of your screen. Carr's running hard. The ball's pulled out right there. Now Jackson, who comes in from the top of your screen, there he is. He's still chasing the ball. It squirts loose. He picks it up. If this was pro football, he could turn around and run.
But not here.
Ball, just down it right where you pick it up.
So Jackson makes the recovery. Carnell Lake was a man to strip the ball loose. Looks like a draw play. Holieway, there's a flag down. He's knocked out. In fact, knocked down real hard on the far sideline as you hear the reaction from the Sooner fans. Dennis Price was over there, as well as Lake and some other guys. Figure out what this penalty is all about.
Number 7, Chance Johnson, is pointing over to Oklahoma, saying it's against them. Holding against Oklahoma.
Craig Rutledge, the captain for UCLA, talking it over with the officials.
Craig Rutledge has had his share of injuries, knee problems and so forth, to the extent where this
holding on the offense is refused. 4th down.
Brings up a punting situation. Craig Rutledge did not practice in 2 days. He only practiced once a day, just to make sure that his body wouldn't have to go through the wear and tear of a rigorous 2-a-day schedule.
So a big holding penalty here against Oklahoma makes it 4th down and 7. Mike Winchester is in to punt for the Sooners. Back to receive is Darrell Henley. There's the kick. Henley at about the 14 makes the fair catch. UCLA's football once again. So the Bruins are trying to get their offense cranked up, see if they can avoid the interceptions. We'll have it for you in just a moment. All right, back in Norman, Oklahoma with that 7-point lead. UCLA with the football. Less than 6 minutes to go here in the first half. And the Bruins to the line of scrimmage. They'll be working it out on the 14-yard line. We have yet to see Eric Ball, the outstanding tailback for UCLA, in the lineup. This is Gaston Green, that other outstanding tailback, and he is off and running up to the 28-yard line. So a good gainer for Gaston Green, his longest of the afternoon. It's a 15-yard pickup for Gaston. Darrell Reed made the stop.
Part of the small contingency rooting for UCLA in the upper corner of the grandstand across from us. Small but very vocal.
Very vocal.
Now, I think Oklahoma made an error in that last offensive drive. They seem to be trying to get too much too soon, too quickly, instead of going back to their basic attack.
First down, UCLA. Stevens, your quarterback. Play action, rolling, firing, and once again it's picked off by Oklahoma. And this is Paul Miliazzo. The senior linebacker picks it off. Interception number 3 by Matt Stevens. Miliazzo does the job at Oklahoma once again with great field position.
Miliazzo is a 5th-year senior. He actually has graduated. He's now taken a few classes in graduate school, just playing out the rest of his college eligibility. Comes up with a terrific play here. Now this time, we have good pressure on the quarterback. Dual receivers, one side of the football field. They're just hooking up in the zones. And Miliazzo reads the quarterback here and cuts right in front of the receiver to pick the ball off. Does a good job of staying up for 2 yards.
Yeah, he sure does. So Miliazzo makes the interception. Matt Stevens having a rough day in the opener. Back with more in a moment. Lynn Swan, on a sideline right now, what kind of things can Terry Donahue say to Matt Stevens after a performance such as the one we've seen with 3 interceptions so far in the first quarter and a half?
I think he basically is going to tell him to settle down. Don't forget what his keys are when he comes out for each particular pass play. You know, it's Homer Smith is the offensive coordinator. He's probably talking to him about the defenses they're in, reminding him what his keys and reads are, and then giving him some assurance that he's going to be okay if he settles down.
Oklahoma with the football. Leon Perry, the big fullback.
But of course, before he gets another chance to settle down, they've got to get the football back. It'll be interesting right now to see how the Oklahoma offensive attack runs now in this possession. They scored the touchdown, they came back, they put the ball in the air, they tried a couple of things that were a bit, shall we say, more extreme for the Oklahoma offense. Now they've got the ball back because of a great defensive play. Let's see if they go back to the basic offensive attack, grinding it out on the ground.
It's 2nd and 8. Anthony Stafford consumed by the UCLA defense after a gain of about 2, maybe 3. Kenny Norton, the man to bring Leon down. Don't forget tonight, Lynn, I'm looking forward to the Nebraska-Florida State game, you know it?
That should be a good contest, but now I have to really believe that Nebraska is going to come out and really take it to Florida State because of almost losing 53 players. I think it really upsets those young kids, and they're going to come out and say, all right, let's take it out on Florida State.
Of course, the Huskers are appealing that process. Should hear more on Tuesday as Holloway takes off. He's going to the races inside the 15, inside the 10. Jamelle Holieway down to the 8-yard line of UCLA, and that's a perfect example of the kind of talent this young man has. Eric Smith, the man to finally make the tackle.
Now, it's important to Jamelle to be able to come out here, play a good game, always when he's got an opportunity to run the football, make the good move. Now, again, he reads that defense on the run. He sees a man out there. The man falls down who's covering the pitch, but he takes it inside. Look at the blocks he's getting downfield.
That was
Richard
Marks, the right tackle, backup right tackle, who made a tremendous block we had a chance to see there. 3 minutes, 25 seconds to go here in the first half. Oklahoma, the football on the UCLA 9-yard line. They give it to Collins inside the 5-yard line. Jamelle Holieway. leading his troops down the field. Barry Switzer likes to see it. There's Spencer Tillman heading in the ball game.
Now, Corey, I don't believe Jamelle is the kind of player who's going to do what I'm about to mention here. But when you've got the kind of pressure he feels from another talented kid playing behind you, when you get an opportunity like this, sometimes you want to go in and prove that you should be the guy out there playing quarterback. So you want to score the points. You want to take charge.
They bang it up the middle. A couple yards closer.
Number 20 getting the call there. So sometimes in situations like this, quarterback might feel, well, okay, I'll take the ball in and I'll score. And if you do that too much, you kind of get tense, you get caught up in that attempt at proving yourself, then you're going to make more mistakes.
3rd and 1. Anthony Stafford in the ball game in the backfield, along with Jamelle, Collins, and Leon Perry. There's a timeout in the field as Oklahoma talks it over. 3rd and 1 from the 2. We'll see what happens after this.
We'll stand around. Tell me, get up there and get in, where you can get up there and get.
Back at Owen Field, Jamelle Holieway and company trying to push the football across for their 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. It's 10-3, 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go. Here in the 2nd quarter, 3rd and 1 from the 2-yard line. Perry, Stafford, and Collins are your backs. The pitch back, that's Collins. Turns it in, touchdown, Oklahoma. Patrick Collins, 5'10", 185-pound junior out of Tulsa. And the Sooners are cracking it up.
This last touchdown, the product of good hard inside running, causing the UCLA defense to have to stay home and respect the dive play. Offensive line getting a good jump, firing out. The speed of the backs, just running to the outside. There was no contest.
Last year's extra point is successful as the Sooners take a 14-point lead, 17-3. Here's the touchdown.
We'll watch it again, and the key block here after the offensive line does its work is by 25. Anthony Stafford right there as he takes down number 3, James Washington, and it's a clear track for Patrick Collins.
So Oklahoma takes a 17-3 lead with 2:15 to go. Now, let's hear what's happening on both campuses, UCLA and Oklahoma.
From the activity of Bruin Walk to the serenity of the Sculpture Garden, the pulse of UCLA is strong. UCLA is one of the world's most distinguished universities. Its academic and research programs are ranked among the very best. UCLA students represent the brightest scholastic achievers. They benefit from the strong tie between teaching and research. UCLA graduates are making an impact on society. UCLA, an investment in the future.
So the Sooners are up by 14 points, and Jamelle Holieway's 19-yard run after that interception was really the key play in that drive. 32-yard drive. Took him 6 plays, just under 3 minutes to pull it off. And the fans here, I think, finally are breathing a little easier. Not that this ball game is over by a long shot, but I think they were worried that the offense just wasn't doing a thing. Pat Thompson, talk about cranking it out. He made a field goal there just about, didn't he?
Almost.
All right, let's go down now and see what Mike Adamley's up to on the sideline.
Well, Corey, as you stated at the top of this telecast, UCLA's one of their star tailbacks, Eric Ball, would see action. The reason he has not, and I talked to one of Terry Donahue's assistants, is they don't feel he's completely physically 100%. He didn't get to practice as much as the coaching staff would have liked. That's the reason he's not in, but they said if they need him, they will, and I would say down 17-3, they need him.
But they also need him midway through the season in the run for the Roses.
Mel Farr and Gaston Green, your running backs. This is Matt Stevens, fires the bullet pass. Is it caught?
Nope.
No, that was to Carl Durrell, who claims he made the catch. Not going to give it to him.
It'd be a great one-hopper if it was a baseball game, but this is football. Durrell he's got to come back to it and take a look at the ball. It's going to bounce just in front of the receiver, making it an incomplete pass. Now, a receiver very often will sometimes get his hands in there, try and pull that ball to his chest and roll over like he caught it and get the call from the official.
2nd and 10. Backs are split. Passing formation. Stevens looks one way, fires the other way to Carl Durrell to the 32-yard line. And that's a good example of some poise there. Looked one way, didn't find his man, then looked the other way and found Durrell.
Calderell again, the receiver. Brian Bosworth, the man on the play. And you're right. He's got to show some poise here. Look off his receivers. The Oklahoma defense is doing a good job reading when they go in the pass, dropping back in their zones. They're giving up some yards, but what they're trying not to do, of course, is give away the big play.
Couple-yard gain there. That was Gaston Green. You know, Stevens is trying to carry on a tradition of senior quarterbacks at UCLA, as you know, Lynn. They've had several there. Tom Ramsey, who played for 3 years, and as a senior played, of course, Rick Neuheisel, Steve Bono, David Norrie last year. And Norrie would have been the quarterback in the Rose Bowl had he not been injured. That's when Matt Stevens got his big chance and performed so successfully in the big victory over Iowa. Halftime, don't forget the Prudential halftime report, all the scores, let you know what's happening all across the country today with Jim Lamplett. 2nd and 6. Stevens again wants to go up top. This time, though, he is crushed. And Troy Johnson.
And Curtis Williams is in there tossing off a couple of offensive linemen from the Bruins, feeling he's been held, not getting a chance for some of the action. Eric Balls, number 21, on the sideline. You know, it's very important, as we said, Terry Donahue wants to go to the Rose Bowl and win the Pac-10, not to play a guy before he's ready. Eric Ball is going to give them a lot of striking power later on in the season.
From the shotgun, Lynn, this is Stevens on the 3rd and 9, throws up a pass, and yes, it is picked off again. Who is it?
Ricky Dixon.
Ricky Dixon as he comes out of the crowd. Interception number 4 by Matt Stevens. And Oklahoma once again has the football in Bruin territory. And Terry Donahue's got a problem.
Ricky Dixon, safety. Probably their best cover man in that secondary. Look at the way he's coming up. He read that play all the way from his safety position. As soon as the quarterback threw the football, he broke on it to pick it off.
Stay here. I'm not going to fight it.
You know, it doesn't look like most of the time Stevens is throwing a real good ball. It looks to be a little wobbly, doesn't it?
It looks to be soft. It's got no velocity on it, no strength.
Less than 30 seconds to go here in the first half. Holieway throws, almost picked off by Ken Norton at the 38-yard line. He can't believe it. He wanted the ball back.
We talked about turnovers and about how to keep them down, how important it would be in this ball game. Terry Donahue said, we can't make the mistakes. And look at it right here. UCLA, interception, interception, interception. The results, 2 touchdowns for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Not at all the kind of game you'd expect from Stevens off that Rose Bowl performance in particular. He made the right decisions. He made the right plays. There he is.
That's Homer Smith, the offensive coordinator.
And Homer told me yesterday, he said, you know, the one thing...
No, excuse me, that's not Homer.
It's not. Well, Homer nonetheless did tell me yesterday, he said, hey, the one thing I was most pleased about here in fall workouts, preparing for this game and for the season, is Matt Stevens, the way he has really taken hold here. He said it was like an orchestra leader out there, the maturing process. He said especially after the success at the Rose Bowl, I feel good about Matt Stevens and what he can do, and better yet, he feels good about what he can do.
Homer takes his players, his quarterbacks, and he tries to make them a coach on the football field. When they're watching films, he'll sit them down, he'll say, Matt, take this play. Tell me who is supposed to do what on this play. If they do it, if they don't do it right, tell me the correct way they should do it. And he becomes a coach right there.
He says he'd like his players to be coaches on the field. Remove the coaching process. Let them do it. Don't forget Monday night, the season premiere. And what a game that's going to be. The Cowboys and the Giants, 2 bitter rivals. The Cowboys, of course, we'll see for the first time in the NFL, at least regular season, Herschel Walker and Tony Dorsett. What a combination there. And Thursday night, again, ABC coverage, the Patriots and the Jets, a couple teams that don't like each other all that much, but a couple very talented clubs. New England, of course, last played in the Super Bowl. The Jets 11-5 last year. A couple of good matchups to kick off the NFL season on ABC.
I think that second game on Thursday night, New England and New York Jets, is going to be a real tough defensive battle.
Oh.
Now, if Oklahoma going for a national championship, look at the schedule they have here. September 20th, Minnesota. I don't see that as a real tough contest. Miami. That's the only team that
what do you think about that one? Yeah.
Ooh, Vinny Testaverde, his arm.
They, of course, have Texas and Nebraska on the schedule, as well as Collins made a run of about 3 yards over to the 48-yard line. His time is down to 14 seconds, 13 seconds here in the first half. We'll probably get one more playoff. So they line up.
They get him off the field in time.
That's right, just barely off. Holieway's going to put it up. What the heck? See if he's got an arm, and he does, and it's going to be picked off by Craig Rutledge for UCLA. See if he can't go about 85 yards here. Well, he's still on his feet back across the 27-yard line. There's a fumble, the ball loose, but that will do it. That is the end of the first half. Don't forget the Prudential halfway report with Jim Lampley. We've got ourselves a 17-3 game here. The Sooners by 14 points. That halftime report with Jim Lampley after this message and a word from our local stations.
CFA College Football, an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports, is being brought to you by Coors and Coors Light, beers with a difference worth tasting, and by AT&T in long-distance services, information systems, telephones, and computers. AT&T is the right choice.
Again, everybody, this is Corey McPherson along with Lynn Swan. We're at halftime at Owen Field, Norman, Oklahoma. We got a 17-3 ball game. The Sooners in front by 2 touchdowns. The score isn't all that surprising, I don't think, but how it got to that point is all the interceptions from Matt Stevens, 4 in all in the first half.
Well, it's obviously first game jitters, I believe, from Matt Stevens. He came out a bit nervous. He threw the interceptions. Offensively, UCLA just has not settled down. They're going to have to get their offensive line to fire out more and to be more consistent. Defensively, they've got to be more aggressive to really put some pressure on this wishbone offense.
We've got some highlights from the first half. The very first turnover, it was Matt Stevens to the air, and Scott Garrell for Oklahoma came up with the interception. Here we go. Here's Stevens taking the ball from center.
Well, he throws his pass, and you get the feeling right here that the defense is starting to come on. They're going to make this interception. They only have a 3-0 lead, but the offense is going to march down the field and score points and give them a 10-0 lead.
The first of 4 interceptions. Now, UCLA scored on a field goal. Then, Darrell Henley for UCLA. Jamelle Holieway will go back to pass, and Henley picks it off and goes 71 yards for UCLA.
Now, this is a great defensive play for the Bruins. They take away 3 or possibly 7 points. They turn it around. They give the offense excellent field position. They later go on and kick a field goal to tie it up at 3-3.
Now in the second quarter, after the field goal by UCLA, it's still tied at 3 until Jamelle Holieway calls a zone number and makes it a 10-3 game.
The nimble leader from Carson, California, takes his team, marches it down the field, a classic Oklahoma wishbone drive. Takes it into the end zone in the corner, doesn't need an extra back that he has at his call.
Again, that followed a Stevens interception. Now, a little later on, here's the man, Patrick Collins. Touchdown Oklahoma makes it 17-3 after another interception.
After another Stevens interception. Collins is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is a great play by the offensive line firing out. He gets a great block up front. It's so easy once they get down there because of the effectiveness of their running attack up the middle.
So, Oklahoma and the Sooners here have a 17-3 lead. We're at halftime. Back with second half kickoff in just a moment. Have to say about that comment, the SAT Bowl. 17-3, Oklahoma up by 14 points. Take a look now at the stats. As you can imagine, Oklahoma dominates in every category.
Yeah, look at the total yards, 228. But more importantly, look at time of possession. 9:43 for UCLA. Double that, and you got 20 minutes and 17 seconds for Oklahoma. I have to keep going back to what Terry Donahue said. He does not want to see his defensive unit on the football field all day long, and that's just what's happened. They've been on the field all day long because of interceptions of his quarterback, Matt Stevens. Oklahoma's taking the ball, consistently marching down the field using the clock and getting the points out of their drive.
Individually, Jamelle Holieway, the leading rusher, 66 yards in the first half on 9 carries. Here's the first half, or the second half kickoff. Todd Thompson puts it in the end zone as Darrell Henley takes it there. UCLA will bring it out to the 20-yard line and see if they can't get this offense in gear. Matt Stevens, of course, with 4 first half interceptions. And we'll take a look at the offense once again for UCLA. Durrell, Pickard, Warnick, Alexander, Goebbels, Wannaville, Kidder, and Anderson in the backfield. Stevens with Green and Farr. Still no sign of Eric Ball, as Mike Adderley reported to us in the first half. The word is he will not come in unless it is absolutely necessary. Here is Stevens. He's going to go to the air again. Flies it out there to Joe Pickard after heavy pressure, and Pickard makes the catch after about a 4. Oh, no, they're not going to give it to him. 2 officials are there. One said yes, the other said no. It's not a catch. The Oklahoma defense, take a look at their setup once again. Reed, Williams, Bryan, and Johnson. You got McMitchell, Dixon, Jones, Brown, and Finch.
And then that last play is number 40, Darrell Reed, and number 93, Curtis Williams, who applied the pressure to Matt Stevens. Boy,
I don't know.
Catch.
2nd and 10 for UCLA. This is Gaston Green, sneaks through the middle up to about the 27-yard line. Gaston Green in the first half, 7 attempts for 25 yards.
I'm sure Homer Smith sat his entire offensive unit down in that locker room for UCLA, talked to them, told them if they execute, they won't have to worry about anything. Just take their reads, don't try and do too much. For Matt Stevens to settle down, calm down, pick up those reads, but I think more importantly for the offensive line, really to fire out and become more aggressive.
3rd and 3 for UCLA. Stevens, play action, maneuvers, fires, and he's got his man the near sideline about the 31-yard line. Who is it? It's Mel Farr. Brought down by Sonny Brown. And it's a first down for UCLA.
Matt Stevens here barely escapes with some pressure. He looks like he's got good time here, but comes a player in on him, number 86, Steve Bryan. Just forced him to move a bit. So he found Mel Farr downfield. First down.
James Primus in the game. I believe that is his first carry of the afternoon. Richard Reed brought him down. You know, Lynn, UCLA took the kickoff again here in the second half. That argument at the beginning of the game must have been over who had the right to make the decision. Because obviously a lot of confusion. You don't see that very often.
Yes.
2nd and 9 for UCLA. Stevens fires, and it's incomplete. Pass intended for Carl Durrell. Out coverage there.
Outstanding play by Lonnie Finch. Lonnie Finch was coming up. You look right here at this pass play as Durrell goes out. If Lonnie Finch doesn't knock the ball down and Durrell makes his catch, he might still be running. Watch the way Finch extends his body to make the play. He knocks it down right there. Just an outstanding defensive play.
So it's 3rd and 9. Stevens from the shotgun. Mel Farr, Gaston Green are the backs, along with Stevens. Forced out of the pocket, throwing on the run. This is Paco Craig, but he's out of bounds. Out of bounds at the Oklahoma 38-yard line, so UCLA will be forced to punt.
Paco Craig had gotten behind Sonny Brown, number 8. Matt Stevens couldn't find his receiver downfield. The ball was thrown high, and it was out of bounds also.
So Harold Barcade comes in to punt for UCLA. He was a backup last year. His 2nd punt of the afternoon. It's Patrick Collins back there to receive at his own 20. Some nice blocking. Tries to turn it up around the 30 and does so. Finally pushed out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. So a good return from Patrick Collins, 20 yards.
You see the way Patrick Collins took on that tackle? He took the ball, had it tucked to the outside. He lowered his shoulder there on Brian Brown and just really gave him a good shoulder and forearm and drove him back. Coaches really like to see their offensive people punish the tacklers.
Jackson, Phillips, Hudson, Simpson, Anthony Phillips, Johnson, and Shepard to split in with Tillman. This man, Lydell Carr, along with Jamelle Holieway. Second half, UCLA's defense There you see it, Lake, Batchkoff, Johnson, Toomey, Norton, Waller, and Smith. Turner, Washington, Rutledge, and Henley make up the secondary. Second and 8. Good fake to Carr. Now the pitch out. This is Spencer Tillman. Crashing across the 50 to the 46-yard line. You know, too, Lynn, I talked the other day to both Spencer Tillman and to Patrick Collins and asked them about what it's like to be a part of an offense where so many people are utilized, where they could imagine themselves going to some programs and being the centerpiece back. And they said, hey, we came here knowing full well what kind of offense this was. We knew that to be successful in the wishbone, you have to have several backs because of the punishment you take, and you just got to have it. We get tired out there. We don't mind. We're a good friend. Light out Carr.
Of course, then you've got that smooth-talking Barry Switzer who's doing the recruiting,
Exactly. One of the smoothest. In fact, I think in Switzer and Donahue, most people will tell you they rank up towards the very top in terms of the coaches who have that special charisma to go out there and recruit and get the best athletes anywhere in the country.
Well, he and Terry have that kind of personality where they don't talk down the players. They make them feel very comfortable and at home.
Second and 9. 45-yard line of UCLA. 11.5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. And there's a flag on the play.
Couldn't tell who moved on that play.
Might have been a little movement from number 88, the All-American Keith Jackson.
But the tight end can move as long as he resets himself.
True. Going against Oklahoma, obviously. Let's listen in for the call.
Dead ball, false start, offense.
Okay.
On who? We don't know.
On who we do not know, but somebody out there. Maybe Barry knows. I'm sure they'll know after films tomorrow night, right? 11:22 to go. Sooners lead 17-3. Second and now 14 to go for the first. Jamelle pitches it out. That's Collins, and he is crushed back there. Craig Rutledge is there. Good defensive play now to the field, and Mike Adamley.
Okay, Corey, let's clear up this kickoff situation for once and for all. It was UCLA that won the opening toss. They elected to defer their decision until the second half. That's why they receive. Oklahoma in the first half decided to defend the North Flow. That's why UCLA received the ball twice. Corey?
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Makes some sense to me. You saw a little scuffle out there while Michael was explaining to us about the kickoff situation. Patrick Collins talking things over.
Well, some of the players from UCLA may be getting a bit frustrated.
I think that's what it is, and I think Patrick was looking for maybe a personal foul call or something in there.
Instead, what he gets is a loss of a few yards on that last play. And
get back in your huddle and get back in your huddle and play ball, son. 17-3 is our score. Third down. Need some big yards here, and that's a man who can get it for you. That is Anthony Stafford, but he's not going to get enough for the first. To the 44-yard line.
That running play was as effective as any pass they've thrown this afternoon.
Sure. So Oklahoma's drive is stymied by a penalty and a good defensive play for UCLA. So Mike Winchester comes on to punt once again for the Sooners. And Darrell Henley, who we have seen is a very dangerous man with a football in his hands, is back to receive. He's going to try to anyway. No, he's not. As it falls inside the 5-yard line. Oh, Oklahoma had a good chance to down that ball in close, but it's in for the touchback. Back with more action from Norman in a moment. In the blue shirt, one of America's dynamic young coaches, began his career back in 1976 and won his very first game, as a matter of fact, an upset of Arizona State. And there he was 10 years before that as a player for UCLA. He was a walk-on linebacker, started for 2 years, and helped the Bruins to that 14-12 upset of #1 ranked Michigan State at the Rose Bowl. Terry Donahue. His club right now got some work to do. Stevens fires it out to his favorite receiver, that is Carl Durrell.
Off offensive line of UCLA gave Matt Stevens a great deal of time.
Check that. Mike Farr in the ball game. Mike Farr, number 9, made that catch. 12 yards and the first down.
You see as he goes downfield, Matt Stevens is not under any pressure. He's just moving around the pocket. He waits. Now he's coming back to the quarterback. Matt finally picks him up for the game.
Gaston Green pops for about 3.
This is such an important drive for UCLA. To start off the first half, Oklahoma had a possession, didn't score. UCLA gets the ball back now. This is their second drive in the second half. They can march down the field. If they score a touchdown here, they're only 7 points away. But they've got to get some confidence in this offensive unit, and the only way you're going to do that is to mount a successful drive.
We've got about 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Stevens will fire it again. Tosses it. Mel Farr tries to put a couple moves on and uses brute force to make it to the 37-yard line. You know, don't count UCLA out of this ball game. You may recall last year their opening game of the year. They came from behind to defeat then the defending national champions, Brigham Young, 27-24.
And it was Matt Stevens who came in with less than 2 minutes to go, about 2 minutes to go in the ball game, and drove the offensive unit of UCLA down for that winning touchdown.
That's right. The big play was a 62-yarder to Mike Sherrod. I might add, too, the following week he threw 3 interceptions in that Tennessee ball game. Stevens now firing it. It's complete near side to Mike Farr again, his second reception. And I think he might have made the first down. Scott Garrell was the man to make the tackle. It is a first down for UCLA. And Mike Farr, who is a freshman.
I saw Mike Farr at practice at UCLA make a terrific diving catch. He's down the middle of the field and caught the ball right in the stomach, lost the wind, but really showed me an ability to go after a ball.
So Stevens, try it again. Look out, he's in trouble. He's brought down. That's sack, and that's big number 96, Richard Reed, 6'4", 255 pounds, the senior out of Fort Worth.
He came in, did a very good job on the pass rush. We have not seen any blitzes by Oklahoma. They're putting a substantial amount of pressure now on Matt Stevens, just using those 3 down linemen, occasionally bringing that defensive end, and then dropping everybody else off into pass coverage.
A loss of 9 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 19. Stevens, incomplete. That ball intended for Paco Craig. Stevens obviously not too shaken up by the first half performance, coming back up and putting the ball in the air.
Realizing, of course, that UCLA is going to have to put the ball in the air more often. Oklahoma now has 4 down linemen in the ball game, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs.
3rd and 19 yards.
A blitz.
Look out, but he gets away. Stevens obviously not too shaken up by the first half performance, coming back up and putting the ball in the air.
Realizing, of course, that UCLA is going to have to put the ball in the air more often. Oklahoma now has 4 down linemen in the ball game, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs.
3rd and 19 yards.
A blitz.
Look out, but he gets away, throwing it long, and it's not on the mark. That ball intended for Willie Anderson on the far side. There's Flipper. So the Sooners defense holds, the defense that last year ranked #1 in the nation of defense with 8 starters back. They are tough. Harold Barkade into punt again for UCLA. Ball is caught. That's Ricky Dixon at the 28-yard line. So the Sooners offense has a chance to go to it again. 6:42 to go in the third. 17-3 Oklahoma. Brian Bosworth, you might think he's listening to his favorite FM station. He is not. I think he's probably talking to the people upstairs.
as looking at a third party, I'd probably call me crazy and look for some people in a white truck to come get me.
Sorry.
You know, I'm just basically me. I'm here with a bunch of other guys that act just as crazy. I'd probably just take it to the line and probably step over it every now and then. I think that Oklahoma's in a position that we're fortunate because we have the ability to step over the line if we want to and not get charred about it. You know, there's no head coach saying, you know, cut your hair, take the earring out, don't be doing the non-conformist things. He's primarily saying be ourselves as long as we step on the field on Saturday and do what we do best.
Brian Bosworth on Brian Bosworth. He says if people start thinking about my image and how crazy I am, maybe they won't be doing their job. And that happens all the time. Oklahoma on offense as Patrick Collins bowls over for about 4.
Well, so much of that, I think, is just Brian having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I sat down and talked to him, he was just this calm, pleasant human being. Was interested in knowing what it was like when you're playing professional football, you know, the real side of it, and not some of all the color and glamour of it. And I think sometimes he cringes when a lot of that stuff comes back to him.
Holloway's going to keep it 45, 50. Look at him go down the sideline. He steps out of bounds, though. Way back at about the 47. There's a little action going on. And Holloway tries to bring his buddy Anthony Stafford back without any further altercation taking place. Alan Dial, the defender out there, who gave Stafford a little bit of a shove.
Now, we'll take a look at this. I really want to take a look on the replay. I don't know why Holloway steps out of bounds here. I didn't really see anyone pressure him. He's coming down the sideline. He's running right there. He just runs out of bounds. There was nobody pressuring him. He gets pushed right there. He's out of bounds. He's pushed by Alan Dial. But the question is, why did he step out of bounds?
I think maybe he thought he stepped out earlier and knew the play was over. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but no official threw a marker. A player can't call his own play out of bounds. If I step 5 feet out of bounds and no official calls it, I'm not telling anybody. Yeah, I'm going to take the touchdown. Look, he's running.
You see, that's where he stepped out. I think he heard either realized it or what have you. You know, you're right, though. Keep going, because how do you know that the official saw it? So, plus the penalty there. That is Patrick Collins up the middle. Chance Johnson is there for the stop for UCLA at about the 25-yard line with help from Alan Dial.
Chance Johnson, 6'1", 219 pounds, out of South Compton. And this Oklahoma football team now settling down in its second half.
Of course, that 15-yard penalty is the reason why the ball is way up here in UCLA territory after the Collins run. And here we go. That is Leon Perry. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Leon Perry, sophomore out of Orlando. You keep giving that ball to those big horses, as our friend Keith Jackson would describe, and eventually they're going to break it. Leon Perry, of the two fullbacks, is a man who has that great open field vision, can make those moves, and he showed a good one there, cutting outside and scoring the touchdown.
Kyle Carr and Leon Perry teaming up at that fullback position, constantly pounding the center of that line. Terry Toomey, number 40, and Jim Whaler, 66, Frank Batchkoff from 92, all from UCLA, getting worn out.
Year's kick is good after the 24-yard touchdown scamper from big Leon Perry.
Now take a look from the end zone. But look at the number of linemen who are also up in front, downfield, leading the way. He just tucks in behind him. Now he makes a great cut against the grain. He picks up 2 more blockers to the outside, but he doesn't need them as he sprints to the end zone for the touchdown. Everybody thought that play was going all the way to the other side.
Leon Perry, sensational individual move, and puts the Sooners up 24-3. Field, Norman, Oklahoma, 75,000 plus on hand. They see the Sooners with a 24-3 advantage, just over 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Those are the UCLA receivers, as Oklahoma is about to kick it off again. There he is, Todd Thompson, who so far has been accurate in finding the end zone. He can boom it. See if he does it again. Looks like it. Forget about it. Darrell Henley says no thanks. And UCLA has yet to run back a kickoff. But they'll try once again to get that offense together from the 20-yard line.
You know, there were some people, in reference to the new kickoff rule and where the ball is placed, that wanted to move that tee even farther back.
Right.
This ball game is a good statement for that group of men. We've only had one return of a kickoff, haven't we?
I believe you're right. Stevens in at quarterback. No changes, but look out. There's a change out of nowhere. Coming from the right side, that is Steve Bryan.
Steve Bryan.
His brother Rick, the All-American a couple years ago.
That's right. Carrying on that family tradition. People were saying that the Oklahoma defense may not be as great as last year, but great in Oklahoma and then coming down to just good is still outstanding in college football.
Third sack of the afternoon. It'll make it 2nd and 17 yards. Gaston Green hits off the left side, but he's stopped in a hurry, and you know who it is. The Boz. And somehow, whenever the Boz makes the tackle, you can tell he's the man in because the crowd suddenly becomes electric. They love this guy here. You should see it on the commercials. Everywhere you go, all you hear is Brian Bosworth.
I hear here in Norman, Oklahoma, there are even kids who are in school who've been cutting their hair just like Brian Bosworth.
They call it the Boz cut.
Can you imagine the look on their parents' faces? These 10, 15-year-old kids come in with a haircut?
I'd rather not imagine, actually. Stevens again on the 3rd and 15. Looking, firing, and he's got Denny Thompson on the 17-yard line, but Denny going nowhere as the Oklahoma defense comes through again on the 3rd down play, and the crowd salutes them here at Owen Field. We are truly witnessing one of the great defensive teams in a long time. Barcade cutting it off. Patrick Collins. Good quick first move. Almost breaks through. Still on his feet across the 40, 36-yard line. And as Sooner fans are on their feet here at Owen Field, they're fired up in Norman, Oklahoma. 3 minutes, 10 seconds to go in the 3rd. The Sooners in command. Fans have a lot to cheer about, and now they want to see how this man fares. Number 1, the quarterback we've told you about, Eric Mitchell, the backup to Jamelle Holieway, the young man that Barry Switzer says perhaps has the best skills of any wishbone quarterback he's had here at Oklahoma. We'll see how he fares. From the 35-yard line, Mitchell hands it off. That is Earl Johnson. Inside the 30 to the 27-yard line. And we're seeing a couple new faces. Not only Eric Mitchell, but Earl Johnson. Johnson's been around for a while.
5'11" and 205-pound senior. Now, Eric Mitchell comes in the ball game. In this part of the ball game, I call the feeling good time. They've got a commanding lead. The offense is executing very well. But Barry Switzer wants him to come in and test his own skills, not to let down one iota. He wants more points on the scoreboard.
Goes Mitchell to the 22-yard line. Darrell Henley makes the catch. It's a tough situation to be in. Actually, it's a luxury to have two quarterbacks as good, as solid as Eric Mitchell and Jamelle Holieway. I mean, when Mitchell was recruited, it was thought he was the guy they were grooming for this position.
Absolutely. Now he gets a chance to come in the ball game and work against UCLA's #1 defense. All right, he's not working against backup people. He'll come in, he'll execute, we'll have a chance to see what kind of speed he has, maybe even a little bit more passing from Eric Mitchell.
First down for Oklahoma. Spencer Tillman bangs through for a few. Need to pass along a few football scores brought to our attention. There's that Florida-Miami score. Florida with a 2-point lead. That's in the third quarter. Alabama big over Vanderbilt. Rutgers and Boston College, that's final. West Virginia wins. North Carolina big. Second and 1. Again, Mitchell at the reins. That's Lydell Carr. He's got the first down, 10-yard line. Henley's in there. Rutledge. A few other scores for you. See Virginia won today. As Jim Lampley put it, the SAT Bowl. Duke over Northwestern, 17-6. Auburn wins big. They can win without Bo Jackson. 10-yard line for Eric Mitchell and company. Carr is your fullback. Halfbacks Tillman and Johnson. Fake to Johnson. Mitchell coming. He's covered, and he is. Gets away. What a move! He's going to score! Wow!
Holy Toledo!
That just doesn't happen. He was dead to rights. Carnell Lake had him behind the line of scrimmage, and that's the athlete. That's the move we're talking about. That's what all the excitement is about. Eric Mitchell. What a move. 10 yards for the touchdown.
This is why Barry Switzer believes this kid eventually could be his #1 quarterback and take over the starting role. That great athletic skill and ability. You can't coach that. You can't teach it. All you can do is sit and admire it when it happens on the football field.
Last year for the extra point as Mitchell wows him here at Owen Field in Norman, Oklahoma. Eric Mitchell. He's bigger than Holieway. 6'1", 200 pounds, and he uses his strength as he gets around these tacklers.
You got a kid who calls a bootleg to take advantage of the defense. Right here, he realizes maybe I made a mistake. But no, he's going to make something big happen. And he certainly does. The balance, the leg strength, and he finds the end zone to increase the Oklahoma lead.
Wow. What a play. I am stunned. Eric Mitchell. Everything we've heard about this guy is true. What a performance.
I'll tell you one thing. Jamelle better not be too lazy.
Let's visit the Oklahoma campus now.
It begins with spirit, the will to win.
3 national championships symbolize the tradition of excellence at the University of Oklahoma. The Sooners dominated the national gridiron. Students again excelled in the law profession's oldest, most prestigious competition. The winning spirit continues as OU students tackle society's problems in the classroom.
Molding talent, leadership, challenge, and spirit.
31-3, Oklahoma running away with it. 1:01 to go in the third quarter. Oklahoma will kick it off again. Todd Thompson is kicking it off. Darrell Henley is back. Don't forget tomorrow the Chrysler Cup from Potomac, Maryland, and
Arnold Palmer.
It's quite a deal. Arnold Palmer is the captain of the American contingent. Gary Player for the international team. The U.S. team has a lead right now in stroke play. He'll continue tomorrow. There's the kickoff, and again he's good into the end zone as Mike Farr downs it there.
Of course, it was in the practice rounds for that Chrysler Cup that Arnold Palmer hit 2 hole-in-ones with a 5-iron. He popped one in one day. The next day he came back, same 5-iron, pops it in again. They were talking to someone today, and they said he came back and had the same 5-iron, put it about 30 feet beyond the pin.
Arnold Palmer, boy, he brings out the fans. Again, that's tomorrow right here on ABC, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, the Chrysler Cup. We got a minute and 1 second to go here in the third quarter. Matt Stevens is still your quarterback. Working out of the shotgun now, and he's going to run it. No, he's going to throw it. And it's incomplete, intended for Paco Craig, in and out of his hand.
Now, I am very concerned at this stage in the ball game by the way Matt Stevens is throwing the football. Quarterbacks can sometimes throw too much prior to a ball game, maybe get too much work, and come into the ball game with a dead arm. He's thrown a lot of passes short. He threw one over receiver for an interception, and I think maybe he might need a little rest for his arm.
for UCLA. Backs are in the eye. Little play action again. Even firing it, and it's to Joe Pickard. He is nailed at about the 25-yard line. I think, too, Lynn, the offensive line was a big question mark for UCLA. They lost 3 starters off last year's club. They were concerned about it. And perhaps today they found out that maybe they aren't quite as far along as they had hoped to be right now.
Well, the offensive coaches and the line coaches at UCLA said that this game is going to be a very important test for their offensive line, and they're looking for some players there who have some fire and have some heart who are going to take charge.
3rd and 3, 17 seconds left in the 3rd. The pitch to Green. Look out for Brian Bosworth. 44 on top of 44.
Big 3rd down play.
Loss of 2 on the 3rd down play. 3rd quarter coming to a close. Let's look at the Boz in action.
You see Gaston Green going the outside. Bosworth, untouched, shoots right in, collars him, brings him down Oklahoma style.
Bosworth getting the job done here. It's 31-3, and Norman will be back with more college football action after a message and a word from our local stations. Back at Owen Field, Corey McFerrin, Lynn Swan, and Mike Adamle, and apparently UCLA's months of preparation for Oklahoma's wishbone has not been enough. It's 31-3. Harold Barcade punting it off for the Bruins. Patrick Collins slip sliding away across the 40, the 42-yard line. Carnell Lake makes the tackle.
Once again, Oklahoma is going to have excellent field position for this drive.
You know, earlier we talked a little bit about that Boz hairstyle. I wonder if Mike Adamle's into that thing. Let's talk to Mike. Are you down there, Mike?
Well, Corey, I'm not into it, but there are a few folks here in this stadium, Owen Stadium, who are. We showed you at the beginning of the show the rainbow look that Boz was wearing. Well, even an Explorer scout, 15-year-old Mike Forte, who's actually from Texas but is here enjoying the game, he's got a Boz look too, and you like it, huh? Nice air conditioning.
It's cool. Cool in summer.
What's your mom think of it?
She doesn't like it.
And she says no earrings either?
That's right.
Okay. And my friend here, Gwen, says she'll cut her hair like Boz if I give her a Ram Boz t-shirt. So, Gwen, I'm going to hold you to it, all right? Okay. You're going to cut your hair? Yes. Everybody's doing it in Norman, Corey. Ram Boz.
They call it Boz Mania. Ram Boz. That's a classic. That is a classic.
There was a penalty on that last play. Move the ball back to the Oklahoma 14-yard line.
Eric Mitchell still at the controls for Oklahoma. Leon Perry gets loose up across the 20-yard line. Klein, Miller, and Chance Johnson make the tackle.
One of the things I've noticed about the running backs in the wishbone, the fullbacks, when they take that ball, they're bent over, holding that football, running not really like they've got a football. And I think it's a problem for the defense of UCLA. They're not sure if he has a football either. So he's coming through there, and he just seems to be floating to some of the people, and they're trying to see if he's got the football. Then they're making the tackle.
2nd and 4 for the Sooners. And off this time, that is Earl Johnson to the 25-yard line. And Earl Johnson, interesting story, too, for Earl Johnson. Here's a guy who has been so injury-prone over the year. As a freshman in '83, he had 945 yards until he injured himself in the Nebraska game. Re-injured it the next year. Injured it again last year in the opener of '85. And he's come back trying to hang on here his final year of eligibility. A good player who is playing halfback for the first time after being a fullback for the majority of his career. First down, Oklahoma. Leon Perry, the fullback, who was so impressive on that touchdown a few minutes ago, across to about the 26-yard line. A few of the rabid Sooner followers, Lynn Swan.
Yeah, just a couple. They were doing a wave here a few minutes ago, and it worked pretty well until they got to that UCLA section over there. No one really stood up.
Suddenly disintegrated.
Yes. The wave crashed on the California shore.
Well said. Early 4th quarter. Sooners in control. They got a 2nd and 9. Here's Eric Mitchell. Flips it out to Johnson. He's hit hard there. Kirk Alexander in there, along with Dial and James Washington as well. Doug Klein following the play up.
It's important. Keith Jackson, when he started out today's broadcast, talked about this game being a yardstick for the football teams. And he's very accurate when he says that. Right now, to maintain that #5 ranking for UCLA, they're going to have to show some more respectability here. So far, they haven't shown a lot to really be in the top 5 of college football this afternoon.
Mitchell trying to throw, gets away from Craig. Rutledge is still on his feet, puts it up. It is batted in the air, incomplete. Eric Mitchell there showed good strength. Again, he is bigger than Holieway. That's one of his main advantages in that battle. We look now at a very quiet section of the stadium. Lynn Swan, they're dressed in blue and in gold. Those are the UCLA followers. About 4,000 of them made the trek out here from Southern California.
I'm sure a lot of those people from sitting in that section are also in part from Oklahoma because of Terry Toomey being here and a couple of other players from the Oklahoma area.
That's right. Terry Toomey and Patrick Collins played in the same high school football team. Tulsa, Washington. Winchester's kick. Henley lets it go. It's going to roll down inside the 30. How about the 28-yard line, where once again UCLA will get the football. See what they can do. Back with more action in a moment. Be a great game there. Florida and Miami. Here we've got Oklahoma and UCLA. 31-3. The Sooners well in command here. UCLA with the football on the 29-yard line, their own 29-yard line. Matt Stevens remains in at quarterback. If you've just joined us, 4 interceptions in the first half, the difference in the first half. And against a club like this, you just cannot afford to make mistakes. Stevens hooks up here with Bob Garibaldi. Let's go down to Mike Adamley right now, who's got a family, and I think they belong to Jamelle Holieway. Mike?
Well, on the Oklahoma sideline, Corey, it's another edition of This Is Your Life. Jamelle Holieway, your whole family is here, including your mother, Charlie, who flew in all the way from California. You must be very excited and very proud.
Yes, I am. I'm very proud. Be quiet. I'm very proud of Jamelle and the whole Sooner team, and it's a great pleasure to be here, and I'd like to say hello to all my wonderful friends and patients in California.
Okay, you said it all. There it is, the Holieway-Evans family.
You're watching UCLA as Gaston Green powers across for a couple yards. Jamelle told me yesterday, Lynn, that he was especially pumped up for this game. I mean, UCLA, USC, he's from Carson, California, suburb of Los Angeles. He was extra excited about this one, wanted to prove to the folks back home he could do the same things he did in high school in college. In fact, USC and UCLA both tried to recruit Jamelle as a defensive back. He said, no, thank you.
And he's certainly done that. He has certainly played extremely well this afternoon.
2nd and 5. Stevens, quarterback draw. The referee helps out a little bit. He's knocked down. Richard Dillon is the man to make the stop.
We'll take another look at this play from the end zone. Now, Matt Stevens just really has had the kind of day I think all quarterbacks dread. You come in, you've got some question marks about how you're going to play, how your team is going to shape up against this defense, and you make a few mistakes. The important thing for him is not to get down on himself. He's got to take it as a learning experience, and the learning experience, that's what his coach would want him to do.
3rd and 2. Mel Farr's got the first down. Darrell Reed made the stop. You know, Lynn, there are so many of these sons, father, uncle, brother combinations on UCLA, and a lot of them are so famous. We talked about Mel and Mike Farr and their dad, of course, Mel Farr, Ken Norton and his father. We also have Kermit Alexander's son in the club, also his brother. There's a lot of different things going on with UCLA. Bob Garibaldi's dad played Major League Baseball, and the coaches tell us that it just makes for more maturity. These guys do not get flustered. They've seen it all. They've been around pressure situations, and it helps them with the athletes as they come into the program. There's the short pass, Stevens to James Primus.
It has not helped them this afternoon. We have to take a look at what UCLA hasn't done today. One of the things that I think probably hurt their confidence coming into the ball game is having a number of injuries to players. The 2 starting cornerbacks were out. 2 other people replaced him just this week. Eric Ball They expected him to contribute this afternoon. He didn't even start practicing until this past Monday because of a bruised knee that he sustained. So I don't think there was a confidence there.
Well, one other thing, too, Marcus Greenwood, the senior fullback, who usually sees a lot of time, didn't even dress today. He's out with an ankle injury. So, yes, UCLA has been banged up, and you wonder if they could have made a better showing, and they had been healthy. Stevens in trouble. Lets it loose. Interception number 5. That is David Vickers at the 47-yard line.
And Matt Stevens put his hands over his head. He knew he had done the wrong thing with 9 minutes and 9 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. It's another turnover, and we'll be right back.
That is Brendan McCracken, the sophomore out of Southern California, 6 feet, 196 pounds. Looks like he will come in and play some football here, replacing Matt Stevens, who has had a nightmarish day. 5 interceptions, and I wonder if maybe he would have gone earlier, too.
Well, Terry Donohue's not the kind of coach who's afraid to put in his backup quarterback. If he has the confidence, he can get the job done. He has confidence probably in McCracken, but I don't think McCracken has the arm that Matt Stevens has.
Here's Mitchell. He's keeping the football across the 40, 35, out at the 32-yard line. Eric Mitchell driven out of bounds by James Washington, and it doesn't take very long to figure out just what this talent is all about. 16-yard gain.
They're taking advantage of all the UCLA miscues, all the interceptions and turnovers, and I'd probably say that's the one thing right now that man, Terry Donohue, really wishes he could take back. I mean, he would still be in this ball game had it not been for that 6-2 ratio in turnovers. And one of those, I think you can probably take away, was at the end of the first half when he threw an interception, then fumbled the football.
Anthony Stafford, if you're wondering defensively, UCLA, for the most part, has the starters still in the ball game.
Yeah. Now, let's take a look at what Oklahoma has done in this ball game. They came in with a very simplified game plan. Execute the ball to perfection offense, pound away at the middle, read the defense, make the plays on the outside, not trying to get too much. Defensively, a superb football game. They held their opponent, didn't let them score, didn't let them get the big play. Now, in the fourth period, they're substituting, putting in players like Eric Mitchell, who are continuing to turn in the big play and play consistent offense for this unit.
Lydell Carr to the 25-yard line.
Now, we're talking about execution. The wishbone is not an offense that's really prone to a lot of errors and mistakes, except for the ball handling aspect of it. We expected that Oklahoma would have more turnovers, more fumbles. We talked about this last night. But I am very surprised at how well they have done. The field's a little wet. You can see it's starting to dry out. It rained earlier in the day. I thought that would add to some of the confusion or the miscues. Oklahoma has been perfect.
25-yard line. Mitchell wants to take it himself. UCLA does a good job of jamming it up inside. Ken Norton leads the way. Norton, a very active defender. He's all over that field. Plays with a vengeance. Good, tough ball player.
He's not a big linebacker. He's a, well, I don't want to call him small either. He's 6'1", 226 pounds. He's very quick, very active, but sometimes against a team, when you play a team like Oklahoma, with the massive weight and size they have there on their offensive line, you need a little more muscle. The total weight of the starting offensive line outweighs the linebackers and the defensive line of UCLA.
As you can see, first down for Oklahoma. You talk about it. I mean, Terry Toomey is 228, Batchkoff 245, Waller's 248. The guys across from him, 280, 280, 295, 265. And the quickness, you may be able to work around that for a while. But at some point, it begins to wear you down.
And we said early in the ball game that they would have to play a good tactical ball game, a good scheme of taking on the blockers if they had a chance of winning. I think what's happened is Oklahoma's just really blown them away.
Mitchell will toss it. Johnson knocked out at the 12-yard line by Henley and Washington. Earl Johnson.
We have a nice isolation here on Mitchell for you. Here is a wishbone being run to perfection. He reads, he fakes the inside handoff. Now he's coming down the line. He's looking for his key. He's got his man. He fakes to the outside. Right there, he draws the outside man in before he goes down, gets the ball back to his halfback, who picks up another 10 yards on the play.
And he made the pitch with Alan Dial, the defender, all over him.
That's correct. That's why you sometimes get a lot of fumbles in the wishbone, too.
7 minutes, 10 seconds to go. Earl Johnson up the middle, driving down to the 3-yard line.
This is why Oklahoma is such a strong football team throughout the season. Look at this offensive line just surging, pushing people back off the offensive line. And there are a lot of backup players who are now in the ball game. They're getting some experience. They're getting seasoned. They may not start the ball game, but when it comes down to the big games later on for the championship against Nebraska, they're going to have experienced people on the bench ready to play.
First and goal for Oklahoma. Earl Johnson tries to make his way across. Oklahoma signals touchdown. Nothing from the men in the striped shirt yet. Doug Wassel in there. Not going to give it to him.
You know, I sometimes think officials love to run into those piles and mark it just short of the end zone. For a little drama.
There's Terry Toomey, the young man from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He said earlier this week, gosh, I'm looking all over for tickets. He's trying to buy as many as he could. He said he needed 12, 15 tickets for all his friends in the area.
Well, one of the guys who's a friend of his is the offensive tackle for Oklahoma, number 75, Greg Johnson. He and Greg competed in shot put and track and field when they were in high school here in Oklahoma, and made a number of recruiting trips together, and they all said they thought they'd go and decide what school to go to together. What happened? He went out to UCLA, said, I'm staying there.
There's a man down in the field. There's timeout. We'll take a timeout as well with 6:28 to go in the ball game. The man who was down in the field, backup nose guard Jim Mastera, who had to be assisted off the field hobbling. Looked like it was perhaps an ankle injury of some kind. That's why Terry Toomey, the starting nose guard, had to trot back onto the field. Again, it's 2nd and goal. We've got 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Oklahoma threatening again. Mitchell diving over the top.
Touchdown.
They're going to give it to him. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Kind of a slow call. James Washington isn't very pleased by the call. And Eric Mitchell has his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. Watch it again.
Low angle look from the sideline. Ball just has to cross the plane. The official at the top makes the call. And it's close. Still, it's tough to tell from that angle if he actually broke the plane or not. The official had a good look from his end. He called it a touchdown. We'll agree with him.
We'll give it to him, sure. So Eric Mitchell, a couple of touchdowns. Lasher is on as usual. He is perfect. And Oklahoma has a 38-3 lead with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Let's throw it down now to Mike Adamle on the sideline. Michael?
Well, Corey, you know, coaches are real fond of talking about positive mental attitude. Let me tell you something about cheerleaders, especially when your home team or the visiting team is down 38-3. You people, Cindy, have to have plenty of it.
Yeah, that's true. We're a little disappointed, but I'm not at all worried about the season. I know where we'll be at New Year's Day. It's going to be at the Rose Bowl.
In Pasadena. So even though things are looking awful on the scoreboard, you cheerleaders look awfully fine.
Great.
Okay, get out of there, Michael.
You know, I don't. Why can't Mike come up here? We'll trade places for a little while.
Come on. I mean, I think he's looking for a date.
I think that might be it. I like that stuffed animal behind his right shoulder. He'll probably end up asking him out. We've got a 31 or 38-3 score with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go. The young lady, of course, mentioned where we're going to be on New Year's Day. UCLA, what a record they have had. 3 of the last 4 Rose Bowls. They've been to 4 straight New Year's Day games, and they've won them all. Darrell Henley brings it out to the 25-yard line. Don't forget tonight, this isn't all the football action you will see on ABC. Part 2 of our doubleheader. Florida State, the Seminoles take on the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. And you got to wonder, Lynn, just how those Huskers will react to all the hullabaloo surrounding the penalties imposed, the appeal process, and so forth.
Well, I think they're going to respond with a certain amount of anger and take it out on Florida State.
Brendan McCracken, the backup quarterback for UCLA, is in the ball game, a sophomore, 6 feet, 196. He's got Danny Thompson and James Primus. Gives it off to Thompson. Works his way up to the 29-yard line. McCracken, I was going to say, is a great runner.
Yeah, Terry Donahue compares him a lot to the style of Rodney Peete at USC. He runs the ball well. He scrambles well. He doesn't have the greatest arm in the world. I mean, he doesn't have a rocket back there, but he's not going to hurt you. And that's why I don't believe he went to him earlier in the ball game. I felt that he needed something more in the air to catch up, and McCracken probably wasn't going to give him that advantage.
He's the fastest of the UCLA quarterbacks as he gives off to James Primus, who is knocked for a loss of about 4 yards. That's Mike Mantle in there. And you know what? We talked about all the relationships. Mike Mantle, guess who was a distant cousin? You're right, Mickey Mantle, the Hall of Famer.
Didn't really follow in his footsteps, though.
No, took a different path. He's not hitting baseballs. He's hitting people. He's hitting running backs. Yeah,
he's hitting people.
6'2", 222. He's out of Miami, Oklahoma. It's 3rd and 9 for McCracken. Getting some game experience here. Works out of the pocket. Oh, and he is taken down hard. That is Richard Dillon, number 41, who cut out his legs under him.
McCracken's got to be careful. Update on the Miami and Florida football game. 16-9.
Hurricanes by 7, and
Oklahoma's going to play them later on.
That's right.
And again, that's the only team that beat them. Vinny Testaverde having a fine passing afternoon against the Sooners in 1985 to take them down.
Barcate to punt. Ricky Dixon to receive. That's Carnell Lake chasing him around. Dixon doing a good job eluding some tacklers. Brings it up to the 32-yard line. 4 minutes and 29 seconds to go. Back in Norman in a moment. Back at Owen Field, Corey McFerrin, Lynn Swan, and Mike Adamley. And Lynn, your thoughts on Proposition or Rule 48, the new policy whereby there are minimum standards for incoming freshmen before they can play football?
Minimum standards in terms of a core curriculum they have to take in terms of English and so forth, and maintain a 2.0. Then there's a testing score and the ACT and the SATs that they have to meet. And this is for incoming freshmen only who are going to receive athletic grant and aid. UCLA didn't have any players that did not meet the standards, so they didn't lose anyone this year. Of course, at Oklahoma, there were 10 players who academically with their GPA qualified for entrance in Oklahoma, but because of their test scores did not meet the standard. Now, that means that those players who do not meet the standard cannot play or practice with the team for a year. They lose 1 year of eligibility. Then the next year, as long as they meet the academic requirements and standards of the school and the GPA, then they're eligible to play football. Now, this rule is a long-term rule because it's going to have an effect on, obviously, the eligibility and how many years a young man is going to play.
There's Mitchell working the right side over the 40-yard line. Yes, it does. And we talked to Barry Switzer about it, and his club is affected. Says in terms of who would have played anyway, it didn't really matter as far as the kind of football team he can put out here. But he said basically he's not for it. He doesn't really support it because of the fact he doesn't think it's fair because of some background.
What he doesn't support is the fact they lose the year of playing time.
Exactly.
He supports it the other way because it's sending a message to the high schools across the country that the kids are going to have to be better prepared academically so that they don't have to regress when they're in college.
He doesn't feel, though, that the standards, the testing standards, are necessarily fair for all athletes out of high school. Mitchell, he's going to go the other way with it. Look out. He's finally brought down behind the line of scrimmage. About the 35-yard line. Didn't know where he was going out there. Mike Lotus made the tackle.
We talk about football sense. A play like that, because he has athletic ability, he reverses the field, but he's got to know when to do that and when not to do that. And that was a case where he should not have done it.
Don't forget, if you're anxious to know about some college football scores today, we'll catch you up on all the action today with Jim Lampley coming up on the college football scoreboard.
Hey, John!
We've got Todd Thompson in now. He's been the kickoff man, and he's going to do a little punting here. Kind of thing you do when you've got a 38-3 lead. Make sure you know all the talents and skills of your special teams people. That was Darrell Henley who made the fair catch for UCLA. We've got 2 minutes and 12 seconds to go here at Owen Field.
Todd was taking his time back there, just letting as much of the clock run out as possible. They've got a commanding lead. What they want to do now is not to make any mistakes, keep the ball in play, and run out the clock.
At quarterback for UCLA is Brendan McCracken, with Farr and Gaston Green, the backs. Brendan will fire it, and he's got Gaston Green near side about the 40-yard line. I think, Lynn, we should talk a little bit about this UCLA program, a program that I think was in real trouble about 1979. Phil, I keep wanting to call Terry Donahue Phil Donahue. I apologize, but Terry was 0-4 against USC, as you're quite aware. A lot of pressure. He was in big trouble. Changed his philosophy, went to a more open attack, a passing kind of attack. Things changed. They've been very successful. They won 75% of their ball games the past 6 years, UCLA has. And, of course, the 4 consecutive victories on Bowl Day, New Year's Day. Tony Woods made the stop there.
Well, Terry really turned up the recruiting program, getting some good ball players in there. And much to the chagrin of my alma mater, USC, he has turned that program around, and he's become the dominant force in football in that Pac-10. He's getting the best players out of Southern California. He's now recruiting across the country, getting top players out of Texas and out of Florida, New York. Maybe this afternoon, you know, they're not playing very well, but certainly his program has come a long way, and they're going to be a much improved ball club three weeks into the season.
McCracken incomplete. Paco Craig at about the 47 of Oklahoma tried to make that grab, couldn't hang on. About 1 minute and 16 to go here. Liddell Glenn supplied the coverage for Oklahoma. And you see a few smiles over there on the Sooners sideline. Tell you what, as we've seen in the past few days, you talk about a confident group, a loose group. The Sooners are all that.
I didn't perceive them as being cocky.
No.
Out of control. It's like that, we know we have the talent, let's go out and do it.
Well, as Jamelle Holieway said the other day, he said, hey, if we stay healthy, if we don't have the injuries, we can repeat easily. The punt out of bounds at about the 24-yard line, back with a final 1 minute and 8 seconds of action in 1 moment. 38-3, Lynn Swan, 1 minute and 8 seconds to go. And these UCLA ball players, who, of course, had a lot of confidence in their abilities coming into this ball game, will go home wondering just how good they are. There's Eric Mitchell and Earl Johnson to his left on the sideline, celebrating what is a big victory for this club. And here's a long run, breaking it open on the far side. That is number 28, Rodney Anderson. Backup running back, backup fullback, finally brought out of bounds at the 26-yard line. A young man, a sophomore from Dickinson, Texas.
And you've got to know that they're not, Oklahoma at this point is not trying to run up the score. That's just their basic play, a dive play. They hand it off to the fullback. He breaks up the middle. The blocking was good. Now he turns it on to the outside. He hasn't been in the ball game all day long. Of course he's going to try and go for the touchdown.
The new quarterback is Glenn Sullivan. He hands it off this time to number 36, Eric Bross. It's a lot of new faces, some young men who don't get a chance to play very often, getting a little bit of game experience here. 34 seconds, 33 seconds to go in the ball game.
I think the Oklahoma defense is much more dominating today than I thought they were going to be. I thought they'd give up more yards in the air. I thought they'd be a bit off balance at some stage of this ball game, giving up some yards on the ground. But they are very impressive, very solid, all the way across the board.
Anderson again inside the 20-yard line. Don't forget the college football scoreboard coming up after this game. And then tonight, Nebraska and Florida State, as the Sooners and their fans celebrate. The clock ticks down. 2 seconds. 1. There's the gun, and that's it. Oklahoma opens up with a powerful 38-3 victory over UCLA. They've won 9 consecutive games, and Barry Switzer and company mighty pleased. They want to go after a 7th national title. Back in a moment. If anybody had any doubt who the #1 football team in America is, I don't think there's any doubt right now. Oklahoma pounding UCLA 38-3. Jamelle Holieway and company all smiles this afternoon. Sooner fans going home happy. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Life. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's is spoken here. By the United States Marine Corps, we're looking for a few good men. And by Kemper and the independent insurance agents who represent us. For all of your insurance needs, ride with Kemper. Once again, the final score, Oklahoma 38, UCLA 3. Stay tuned for updated highlights and scores of today's football action on College Football Scoreboard. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United.